Welcome to the Transform with Vance podcast, where transformations begin every day, and I am your host, Vance Hines. So let's get started. All right, this is Vance Hines, and I'm here with another DDP Yoga success story, Rocco Lorenzo, and you know he's a success story by the banner behind his head. So Rocco, how you doing, man?
Got the shirt.
Oh, and his shirt. All right, he's representing. Yeah.
I'm doing good. How are you, Vance?
Oh shit, I can't complain.
Right on.
I'm coming in, like I told you, coming in this blind. I don't know your story, but if Steve Yu says you've got a great success story that I need to interview, that's about as good a recommendation as it comes. So I didn't hesitate. I wanted to get you.
Right on. Well, it's a real pleasure to be on here with you, and thank you for inviting me.
All right, man. Thank you for doing this. What I've been asking the other people is to just give a brief summary or synopsis of why you are considered a DDP Yoga success story, and then to kind of get their attention of why what success you had with the program and stuff, and then I go back and just start deposing you like I would if you were a opposing client or something.
All right, sounds good.
Right.
Well, brief story. I've battled with a lot of health issues. Even before I was born, my mom had a lot of different health problems during the pregnancy, things like that. So throughout my life, I've had a lot of different things I've dealt with, and I'll go into those a bit later. But about a year ago, I committed to doing DDPY, and it's really helped me turn my life around. And I say it's one of those things that it's not just doing the exercises or following the nutrition. It kind of becomes a lifestyle, and it affects everything you do. So I really let it just push me in all those directions that I could go to make some positive changes in my life. So that's the Reader's Digest version.
All right, man. Well, where you from? Where's home?
I was born in Saskatchewan, Canada. It's a province up here. It's kind of like the Texas of Canada, if I had to. A lot of people say that. So I've been here. I'm 32 years old now. It was just my birthday a couple weeks ago, so I'm freshly
Happy
32.
birthday.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. So I grew up here and been here ever since. I've done a lot of traveling. I used to work I did photography for a while, so that kind of took me to a lot of different countries, and I've seen quite a bit of the world. So it's been good. I love traveling, but it's always nice to be home.
So Saskatchewan, where is it in Canada? What part?
It's like dead center of the country. So it's kind of nice because, Canada's a giant-ass country, so it's nice you can kind of get out one way or the other way and see bits and pieces of the country. I've never actually made it all the way across Canada, but I've put some effort in for sure.
So if you went due south, what state would you hit first?
It would be North Dakota, I believe.
Oh, man, North Dakota.
Yep. All right, let me double check on a map. I don't want to give you wrong info.
So is weed legal up there? Is it like British Columbia?
Yes, it is, yeah. The entire country, it's legal. Right below me. Right below me is Montana and North Dakota.
Oh, man. And so it's you out in the country? Is it like bears and country? You know, is it you out in the wilderness?
Yeah, yeah, it's real small here. Our population is teeny tiny, and yeah, just a lot of the great outdoors. You know, lots of camping, hiking, fishing, hunting. You know, that sort of lifestyle. I think we got there's over 100,000 lakes in our province, so there's always a new lake to go try and do some fishing at, or just kick up your feet and do some reading, or do some DDPY, whatever.
And you can just walk to a store and buy weed, huh?
Yep, you betcha. Yeah, I've done it before. I was never never a user before much. I tried a bit when I was younger, but it started to become kind of a part of my routine now. It definitely helps with a lot of my aches and pains, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm glad that the country legalized, because everybody was doing it anyways.
So can you smoke it like outside anywhere?
You can, I think, except for on public property, unless it's allowed. But yeah, like you can go in your backyard if you're out for a walk, things like that. I think in parks you can, just not indoors.
So is it y'all got brown bears or black bears?
We got brown and black. Yeah, two kinds. The further north you go, there's even polar bears up north in the province here. But it's a huge province. Like, it takes me probably take you 20 hours to drive from one side to the other, if you went from south to north or north to south.
I'm drinking me a smoothie. That's my lunch. I just got home, so
Right on. What do you put in your smoothie there, Vance?
This is the Orgain plant-based protein we get at Costco, and it's got almond milk and flaxseed, chia seed, spinach. It's got some frozen berries, I think some blueberries, or we get these packets from Costco too. You can stick in there some kind of, Mary made it, some kind of frozen fruits in it. It's good.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's good. It fills me up, man. All the flaxseed and everything.
Oh, that's good. No, that's real good.
And then I got some hot tea.
Oh, hey, I love tea. Love tea.
I got me some Earl Grey steeping over here, so you'll see me move to a cup when my smoothie's done.
Delicious.
Hey, so do you do cold plunges up there?
I have before. It's not something I do regularly, but yeah, I've tried it before. I've tried, going from a hot tub and jumping into a snowbank, things like that.
Did it help?
It definitely resets you, like the body goes into a bit of shock, and it's a pretty surreal feeling, that's for sure.
I went out to the lake and did a cold plunge. It's my first one ever. 10 minutes. The temperature was 48 degrees. So then I went and got a sauna for 30 minutes. So I'm recovering from that.
How did it make you feel?
Well, I'm still kind of cold.
Yeah,
This is Texas, but the temperature outside was 49 when I got out of the truck to get in, and when I came in, it was in the 50s, so it was rising. But the water was pretty chilly. I mean, it took me a while for my thumbs and some of the fingers to not be numb.
No kidding. Well, yeah, that's still pretty chilly. I mean, today it is, what is it? It's 32 today outside, and that's a warm day for us in winter. Usually you can, like in January, we're usually around minus 22 Fahrenheit. So it's, don't forget your jacket, that's for sure.
So you got heaters on your car batteries and all that? And
Yeah, yeah, we got to plug in our cars during the day and overnight, because a lot of times they don't start, the battery will freeze up. And but you know, in the summertime, it's like it gets up to 95 here.
wow.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think we're the hottest and coldest place in Canada. I think something about being centralized there. We kind of get a little bit of everything. So
You in the mountains or you plains?
no, we're like the bald prairie here. Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, you go up north and it's all lots of dense bush, but the southern half of the province is pretty bald, rolling hills, lots of hills everywhere. But yeah, it's a nice landscape.
How far are you from the Arctic Circle?
Oh, geez. Well, I don't know. You couldn't drive here from here because there's no roads that go that far north.
But the Arctic Circle does come down in the top of Canada, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
I know it comes down through Alaska, up there by Barlow and all that.
Yeah, I wonder if does it graze across the top of our province here? No, we're still a ways from it.
Still a ways.
Yeah.
South of the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, exactly. It's still far north, but we're still pretty far south in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, man. Dude, what, you said you were a photographer. Tell me about, and you traveled with it. Tell me about that.
Yeah. I wasn't always a creative person. Growing up, I was fairly active, played a lot of sports, and I think, kind of like a regular kid, you're always kind of a busybody, that sort of stuff. But when I was about 8 years old, I got really sick with some stomach problems, and I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I was like, what the heck's that? Of course, I was 8. I had no idea what's going on, but had a lot of trouble with that for about 4 years. I was in and out of the hospital all the time and on morphine and all these different drugs, and it really messed with my body. You take one medication to fix one thing and you get 10 new symptoms, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, it was kind of tough around there. And when I was 14, my intestine ruptured and I almost died. That was a big change for me. I had emergency surgery.
This was at 14?
14 years old.
Damn.
Yeah. And I spent about 2 months in the hospital recovering.
Damn.
And after that, I was...
Did you lose a bunch of your intestines or colon or anything?
Yeah, they took out, I can't even remember how many feet. I think it's about 3 feet of the large one and 6 feet of the small one, something like that. So, missing a bit of that.
They put you on a colostomy bag for a while?
No, luckily not. I remember saying to the surgeon, I said, I don't want a bag. And of course she said, well, can't make any promises, but luckily they were able to hook it back together, and I couldn't eat. I didn't eat any food for about a month and a half. So it was a full liquid diet. I had a feeding tube they gave me just to keep my nourishment up. But I was so thin. I was about 91 pounds when I was 15 years old. And a lot of times when I went into the hospital, they just assumed I was there for weight issues, being anorexic or something like that, right? But no, I just had these stomach problems. But anyway, after all that, I kind of didn't do anything physical for a long time. And that's when I started getting into music, photography, all these artistic things. And, looking back how hard that time period was, it was such a blessing because I got to open up my world to all these new things, right? So that's when I started getting into doing some landscape photography. And then I moved into doing, portraits, things like that. And eventually I was getting hired to do weddings. And people were traveling for their weddings. They're doing destination weddings, things like that. So, yeah, I got to go down to the U.S. I've been through California. I've been through Tennessee. I've been to Las Vegas a couple times, and Minneapolis there, and some of the tropical places. I've been to Jamaica, Dominican, Mexico. Spent a while in Italy. I've been to Germany.
Damn.
And then just all over Canada too. So
was this for the weddings or for the landscape photography or what?
yeah, a little bit of both. A little bit of both. So it was nice to. I always loved doing, abstract landscape sort of stuff. But I mean, of course, weddings pay your bills. So had to keep up with weddings too. So
I always thought. Do you know who Candy Herndon is in our DDPY community?
Oh, man, yeah, she was the reason I started DDPY, absolutely.
Well, she's into event photography. Did you know that?
I did not know she was into photography.
She works for her, evidently her, I think it's her uncle. I may be getting the story wrong.
Okay.
But I listened to her podcast, but evidently he's a big event photographer in New York.
Wow.
And they do fashion shows, and she does like the networking, setting them up, making sure all the computers set up for all the photographers and stuff, and she works from a home, and I don't know all exactly, but she was naming all the big events that they do, and this guy evidently, and I creeped on their website, evidently he's her uncle's like one of the big names there, and like she said, they recently made an agreement with Getty stock photos, yeah, and so they're doing something for Getty and.
Oh yeah, stock photos. That's the business to be in for sure. Wow, that's amazing. I'll have to talk to her about it sometime.
Yeah, you need to. She's been doing it for years and years. She started with her uncle when she was young. I think just answering the phone, and she's moved up through the job but she. I mean, it sounded pretty interesting because I was asking her the same thing. Like I just told you, I always thought a wedding photographer had pretty stressful job. Because if you screw it up, everybody's pissed off. If you screw up supposedly once in a lifetime event, everybody's pissed off.
That's right. Yeah, I always say, well, hopefully we don't have to do this again. But
yeah. But she was talking cool. about doing those fashion shows. She said, "You're talking about stress is doing those." And celebrities, people coming in, and celebrities trying to get them. And
yeah, no kidding. That'd be a lot of stress too, for sure. You got to be on top of your game there, yeah.
Except I couldn't get out of my mind. She kept talking about these fashion shows, and she'd be set up in the back, and all these models and photographers and makeup, and everybody would be doing their things around her. It'd be a panic. And I just kept thinking, that ain't a bad job sitting back here in the back and looking at all those models changing clothes and getting them.
That's right, yeah.
I kind of lost focus on the conversation there for a little while.
The imagination was running wild after that.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, I went straight to Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, lingerie fashion shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And anyway, man, so where, if I wanted to see some of your landscape photos, where would we go?
Oh, I used to have a website, and I had a nice portfolio on there, and I just haven't kept up with it. I haven't, Since COVID, I haven't touched my camera in almost 2 years here. It's got dust on it, and I'm just feeling like a failure over here. But, your interests change and things go different directions. And I just became a father a few months ago.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's the best thing ever. And I've just been pouring all my energy and time into it. And it's been great. But one day I want to get back to photography and get that portfolio up there again. It's funny, like as much as, as powerful as the internet is, I don't really use it that much. Like it's there and you can do awesome things like these podcasts and connect with communities. And I know how to use it. I just don't tap into that much. So that's something I want to do a little more of maybe in the future here. So definitely been inspired by your podcast, Vance.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. You got the website, you're big on social media, and I think that's so brave. Like I'm such a private person and I don't know what it is. The internet just scares me or something.
Well, I mean, it did me too, and everybody said I was crazy. They said, I was going to have all these creeps, and they was going to be stealing my shit. Everybody knew what I was doing every day. I don't know, but there were so many warnings, but I just, at first I did it just because I needed to do something different, nothing else had worked, so I was going to give it a try, and then after that. So many good blessings came from it, meeting at DDPY and so I just keep pushing further into the social media world, I just keep paying it forward,
Well, good for you, man. I really love what you're doing, and to be brave like that and recognize you need to try something new to make a change, right? So if it's fueling you, all the power to you, brother.
Well, thank you.
That's great.
But hey, on the Crohn's, I always heard that once they take out some of those intestines and stuff, that when you eat, you ought to be sitting on the toilet.
Oh, yeah, I can. It's like clockwork, depending on what I eat. So
Yeah.
it's funny, like, again, it was kind of a blessing to me that having those stomach problems, I was forced, like, I had to have a good diet ever since I was a kid. And having the Crohn's, I was shitting myself all the time. So for me, I came into DDPY, and I've always approached exercise from the opposite side. I've always been so thin and weak, just like this scrawny, just like a rake out in the yard. Like that's kind of how I've been. So it's like always been a challenge for me to put on weight and get healthy, right? Because once you find that balance, it's like that's your healthy zone. And everybody's a little bit different, right? Depending on your body and your height and your genetics and all those wonderful things. So, and if you're battling illness or things like that. So I've always been on the skinny side of things, and just in the past year, I've been able to gain about 40 pounds. So that's a big deal for me,
From what do you credit it to?
I've been following the DDPY nutrition, and so I've been trying to do it in a healthy way, eating a lot of protein. So I eat chicken like 3 times a day. I got chicken coming out of my ears, like, but it's great. Like it's, and just shakes, doing the shakes in between meals. It's a little extra for me just to get some extra healthy calories in. Throw some protein powder in there, whatever. And, if we got some spinach in the house or something that's going bad, I'll freeze that, throw it in my shakes, and use that as some crushed up ice in the mix there. So I think just being more conscious of what I'm putting into my body and how I'm using my body, and just trying to do it in a healthy way. For a couple months last year, I was going through a pretty deep depression, and I was eating like crap. And so I put on a lot of unhealthy weight then. Hi, puppy.
That's Jet. She's 13.
Jet. Oh, wow. Hi, Jet. What a beautiful dog.
Yeah, and she's very vocal. She's very demanding.
She likes to get in on the podcast.
Yes. So at some point she's gonna start talking to us.
Oh, that's great. But yeah, just really trying to do it in a healthy way. But yeah, I did put on some unhealthy weight. What am I? I'm 192 pounds now.
You said that's 40 pounds up. How tall are you?
I'm about 6 feet tall.
Oh,
So,
shit, that's good.
yeah. So I think it's pretty good. I feel pretty good. But yeah,
what's your ideal weight by the BMI index?
I have no idea.
You
I have no
ought to be
idea.
right at it at 196 foot, I think.
I
Y'all
think
are pretty close.
so. I think so. Yeah.
But what is it? Since you're missing all those, I've been thinking. I've never known any kids that had Crohn's, or at least had Crohn's to that severity. I've known some adults, and as they got older, had those intestines removed and ended up on a colostomy bag and stuff. But
Yeah.
is it common in kids?
No. I remember, I had stomach problems my whole life, and my parents always just thought I was a picky eater or something like that. And of course, when you're a kid, like you don't really know when you're in pain. Like you don't have that concept yet. You don't have that world experience. And for me, you just are what you are. You feel like crap, but if that's all you've ever known, that's just normal to you. So I remember meeting a specialist when I was about 8, and he was just blown away at the severity of my condition. And he told me, he said, "You got to complain more." And I've always never been a complainer. I always just kind of pushed through things and swept them under the rug. And I'm still bad at it, but I'm trying to get better. But yeah, it was quite rare. And of course, living in a small community like I do, we don't really have the greatest healthcare system. It's not very accessible. So it's been kind of a battle that way too. In Canada, our healthcare is free. It's all covered through taxes and things like that. But I mean, it's great. But at the same time, I always say you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So, it's so overwhelmed by every single person going in every time they've got a headache or a sore toe or whatever. It kind of ties up the system quite a bit. And of course, it's government funded, so they're looking at every possible way to cut costs and run on a skeleton, things like that. So that's been a bit of a challenge. And just last year, I had some more serious health problems, and I was able to do an online appointment with a doctor down in Arkansas. And man, was I blown away. This guy told me more in 15 minutes than I've heard from any doctor in Canada my whole life. So
Really?
yeah, it was pretty cool. I'd obviously, if I was a little more financial well off, I would love to travel down to the U.S. and see some of these, these doctors that are quite accomplished, right? But
Is there a secondary market in Canada of doctors that don't accept the, whatever the national health program is, that you can go in and pay cash?
There is some. It's starting to turn a bit more, which is good. I like to see that. I mean, if you have the option, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I've had so many health issues that I would take on debt, to get a little more help, because it affects your quality of life, right? And if you can live a better life, it's good for everybody. So I would like to see more of it. There isn't much where I am. I'm sure there is down in places like Ontario or around Toronto, that area, but it's so damn far away. I've been down to the area a few times, go see concerts or whatever, or go visit some friends out east, but I've never done any doctor's appointments, things like that down there. But it's something I'd like to look more into for sure.
Well, is the hard to put weight on? Is that, I imagine that, I would think your intestines and your that they cut out, goes, that's part of the food absorption, I guess, and so I guess you're not absorbing as many nutrients and minerals and things that you had been before losing that much of your intestines.
That's right. Yeah, and even with Crohn's, you get so much scarring in your intestines and your GI tract, and that's kind of why Crohn's people are quite frail and healthy. They're not absorbing those nutrients, like you said. They're not getting sufficient nutrition into their bodies. So I take a lot of supplements as well. Lots of I try to take as pure and organic as I can. Of course, it's a little pricey, but it makes a difference. It makes you feel healthier. So just making sure that I'm staying on top. Sometimes it's such a battle just to stay consistent with even taking vitamins and supplements. Consistency is a hard thing to maintain, but if you can do it, I think you're gonna get to where you want to be, right?
So tell me about the music. You said you got into music with the photography.
Yeah. It's funny. I was watching your interview with Seth, and man, I didn't know he was such a musician. I've seen him around in the community online, and it's so cool. I really enjoyed what he was talking about, and you talking about being a deadhead. That was pretty cool. I've never become a deadhead, but I've listened to Grateful Dead, and I love experimental music. I love Frank Zappa. Yeah. Like just that, like just outrageous, right? Just it's made me approach music in a completely different way.
I remember I used to have a Frank Zappa CD, but it was the song I can remember is "Don't Eat the Yellow Snow."
Yeah, I loved how he didn't take himself so seriously. Like he could have been writing top 40 hits. He had the talent, but he was like, screw that. Let's have some laughs, right? But he still showed off his talent. So that was, but anyway.
I think he named his kids Flora and Fauna, didn't he?
One's name is Moon.
Moon Zappa?
Yeah, Moon Zappa, and one's name is Dweezil, something like that. Apparently, the name Dweezil, his wife Gail, she had a kind of a crooked little toe on one of her foot, and he used to call her Dweezil toe. That was the word he gave. So they ended up naming the son Dweezil.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's a funny story, but yeah, it was around age 12 when I couldn't kind of partake in as much physical things like sports and be running around with other kids because I was just so damn sick. I started playing guitar. So that was great. And I really got into music. I got into heavy metal right away, like Metallica, right? I love Metallica. And I would just practice nonstop in my bedroom. That's all I could do. I had a little cassette player, and I'd just play the tapes back and forth till they're almost worn out, and trying to rock out with these tapes and learn these guitar solos. And oh man, it was fun, right? But yeah, and then in high school, I played in a couple bands, things like that. Had a good group of buddies, still in contact with them now, and we did some local touring, nothing major, but we did a few recordings. And back then, there was no streaming services, so we put them out on CDs and stuff like that. But
What was the name of the group?
We were called the Damn Seagulls. And yeah, it was good. We tried to. It was kind of like 80s glam rock, like 80s hair metal, right? Mm-hmm. So we played songs like that. We did some covers of some Canadian metal bands like Loverboy and things like that. So it was a lot of fun.
Hey, who did Tommy Lee play for?
Oh, wasn't he in? What's that? It's right on the tip of my tongue there.
But have you seen that show about Tommy and Pam?
I haven't. I seen the preview on TV there.
We watched.
Oh man, Motley Crue. That's
Motley Crue. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That's definitely some 80s hair metal there with those big rock ballads, Yeah, but I just got big into music, and it's funny. Like I did a little singing and stuff, and just a few years ago, I was working on recording my own solo album. I never wanted to become a rock star. That wasn't it. I just love music, and it's a hobby. I do it for myself, and I've done a lot of recordings over the years. And in my mid-20s, I took courses in Berkeley. Wow. So cool. You can take them online now, right? And it was kind of always, the prestigious music school was Berkeley. So I took some courses online for a couple of years, and I learned how to do music production. So got real into it, did lots of recordings of myself, and I was starting to get comfortable with my voice. You always hate listening to your own voice when you record or whatever. And I was like, you know what, whatever, that's my voice. I just got to use it. And when I was 30 years old, so in April, after I turned 30, I got diagnosed with throat cancer.
Damn.
And I've had
just 2 years ago, huh?
Yeah, just 2 years ago, yeah. And I've had 6 other surgeries between my ages of 18 to 22. I had 6 other operations to get rid of my skin cancer. I had all these skin cancer things popping up on my body, and it runs rampant in both sides of my family. Like my grandpa passed away when he was 52 from skin cancer, and then my mom's had it a couple different times, and she had breast cancer, and cancer, right? So anyway, because of my past history, when I got diagnosed with this throat cancer, the surgeon was like, oh shit, we got to get you in right away because you've had cancer. It runs so rampant in your genetics. So from the time I got diagnosed to the time I had surgery, it was about 3 weeks. Damn. It was really quick. And of course, COVID was popping up, and everybody was kind of, what the hell's this COVID? So they were in a bit of a hurry to get me through the system. And it turns out it wasn't cancer, but I had a tumor that grew around my vagus nerve, it's called. So it's a big, important nerve. I had no idea what it was until all this happened. But it runs from your brain all the way to the end of your asshole, to put it in layman's terms. So it's a big, long nerve, and there's a bunch of small nerves that branch off of that. And it's funny because the vagus nerve actually goes through your whole GI tract. And so having this tumor grow on the vagus nerve, I was starting to think, maybe I never had Crohn's disease. Maybe it was this tumor on my vagus nerve that was causing all these weird stomach issues. But anyway, no doctor's been able to confirm that or anything. And so I had this operation, and they took out a good chunk of my vagus nerve. Like, I don't know if you can see my scar here, but it's about a foot-long scar on my neck. And so something that branches off that vagus nerve is the nerves that go to your left vocal cord. And so now I've got a paralyzed left vocal cord, and that's why I sound like an old blues singer or something, or Jake the Snake, or whatever, right? Batman or Darth Vader. Those are names that I've been called before since this new voice that I have. And
yeah, I mean, you definitely should follow up on some type of acting or voice radio, or voiceover cartoons or something. You definitely have a distinctive voice. I said titty bar DJ when I first heard it, but
hey, that's a good one. Yeah.
But my favorite is the blues. I think I would.
Yeah.
You don't have to start singing the blues. I couldn't sleep last night. I was watching a YouTube deal on Janis Joplin.
Oh, yeah.
Listening to her voice and how she died. It was her last 24 hours, and then it went back into her history and stuff. And it was pretty interesting. But she had a voice, man.
Oh, yeah. She was in that 27 club, wasn't she?
Died at 27, yeah.
Yeah, with like Hendrix and Cobain and all those. Oh, that'd be an interesting one. You should send me the name of that. I love watching musical history documentaries of that sort of nature.
I think it was just Janis Joplin's last 24 hours or something like
okay.
that. I was just checking in. Something popped up Janis Joplin, so I got off on Googling her for a minute. But what really got me to liking her, and it kind of connects to you, is like the year before, or some period of time before she died, she did this train ride across Canada.
Really?
And it was all bands, and there's a movie out there of it. The Grateful Dead were on there, and I can't even remember, but they had some blues players, but they had it was just train ride, and they would ride between the concerts, and they were just partying and throwing down hard. And I got tickled at her watching this show, because how big a how big a persona, and how big she stuck out in that room of the best musicians of the time. She stuck out personality wise and charisma wise in front of all of those people, and everybody was digging her.
Oh yeah, she was just one of those people that could command a room,
Yeah.
Just had that unique presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. Yeah.
It's
That's
called
the
Festival Express, I think's the name of that.
Festival Express. I'm gonna make a note of that.
Let me look. Let me Google. Let's see. Let me go over here and Google. Well, go ahead and keep talking about your I didn't mean to get you off your neck deal.
No.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's it. I just threw it into Google.
You found
Janis
it?
Joplin, Grateful Dead, and the band.
Yeah, I mean it it was and they I just came across of it. It was kind of like a Woodstock type deal, but it was some promoters from New York that put it on, and they were just buying them liquor, and those rock stars, because wherever they played, they had fun, but all the fun was on the train. None of them slept because they were all playing on the train with each other, and
Oh, they could party hard, those rock
Yeah,
stars, I tell you. I don't know how they did it, but yeah, I think it's part of that being a tortured soul as a musician and
yeah,
just, it's tough, right? Everybody's got their demons and everybody finds their coping mechanisms and absolutely, but yeah, back I was saying I was just starting to accept my old voice and it's funny because when I watch any old videos of myself or listen to my old recordings, I hear my old voice, and it was so different than what it is now. And of course, I could hit a lot of different notes and things like that. So it's been a bit of a challenge to accept this new voice. But people keep telling me how unique it sounds, and it's started to help me accept it a bit more and just get comfortable with it. So thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that.
yeah. Shit, yeah. I'd love to hear you singing some old blues, old Delta blues.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, with you and Seth, we're talking about Stevie Ray Vaughan, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I love
BB
that.
King.
BB King. I love those guys. Absolutely incredible musicians.
That's what Seth had when I was snooping on his deal. He had it was BB King. It was John. What got us on it? John Mayer and Derek Trucks. And Derek Trucks just did something that blew BB King away. He had some kind of YouTube video on his on one of his social media deals. So, but yeah, I need to get more into Derek Trucks.
Yeah, that's one I have. Excuse me, that's one I haven't been too far into. But there's just so much out there, right? And to dive into it. But that's the beauty of art and music. There's so much out there, and every time you pick up a new musician or a new band or whatever, it's like it's a whole new different way to looking at things, and you can appreciate what they're doing, right?
Well, what do you do for a living?
It's funny, all this all these creative things I do and whatnot. I'm an electrician. I do I work on ladders, wiring things up, and after this throat cancer thing, I was on disability I'm still on disability, but I'm back to work now. But I was completely off for about 8 months. And when I was off there, that's kind of when I got more into computers, like video editing. And that's when I entered the Positively Unstoppable Challenge. I saw Candy online. I saw something about her deal on Instagram or something like that. And I've been a wrestling fan my whole life, okay? So when I was a kid, I was always watching WCW and WWF, and the Attitude Era just sucked me right in. And when I was about, I think I was 8 years old, right when I was starting to get sick, my dad took me and my brother and some cousins to like a motorsports spectacular, the monster trucks and dirt bikes, things like that, destruction derby. And so we went to the arena, and we're down in the pits there, seeing all the monster trucks up close. And one of the drivers was Stone Cold Steve Austin, and another one was Shawn Michaels. And so I got to meet these two guys, and I was already a wrestling fan, and I was just blown away because I had no idea they were going to be there. And I got their autographs, and that was it for me. Just changed. I was through and through. I was a wrestling fan after that. And of course, being exposed to WCW, stuff like that, I got to know Diamond Dallas Page and loved his persona, loved his moves, that diamond cutter he could hit, at any time. And so, yeah, been a wrestling fan for a long time. And when I got into my teen years, I kind of stopped watching wrestling and moved on to music and photography and all those other things. And anyway, seeing Candy there on Instagram, I think it might have been an ad from DDPY. And I'd heard about it before, but didn't think much of it. And I was very out of shape. Like, don't let anybody tell you if you're skinny you're in shape. That's not true. Like, my body was a wreck, man. I had so much pain all over the place. And I would go out, in our Canadian winters and shovel a little bit of snow. And I wouldn't be able to get out of bed for like a week after. My back would be screwed up. My knees would be screwed up. My shoulders would be screwed up. And then anyway, after this neck surgery, like, shit, I didn't realize how many muscles and nerves are in your neck. And I mean, it should be a no-brainer. Every nerve in your body runs through your neck. Goes down to the rest of your body. So after that surgery, I was real screwed up. And I'm still in a lot of pain from it. And I had a lot of limited mobility. So I found the DDPY program, and I think it was January 2021. Yeah, it was January 2020. I can't remember the day. But I bought a subscription to the program because I was like, well, if I buy it, I'm spending money on it, so I'm going to do it. That was kind of my whole thing. So I bought a year of it, and then Candy was running a contest it was called the Unstoppable 4. It was the winners of the previous Positively Unstoppable Challenge. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to throw my name in the hat, see what happens, because I've got all these weird health issues, and I want to try and get back on my feet. I want to try and be healthier, instead of just laying here feeling sorry for myself and not doing anything about it. And so I entered, and I was one of the winners. So I was like, oh, man, this is amazing. So Candy called me, and we got talking for about an hour, and it was just really cool to hear her story. And I was so motivated, and she told me about the community and all this. So I signed up. I wasn't on Facebook. Years ago I was on Facebook, and I kind of just got sick of all the crap on there that my friends were posting, and I was deleting friends, and I was like, you know what, it will make this faster if I just delete myself. So I did, and anyways, I signed back up with a brand new account, and joined up all this DDPY community stuff. And the stories, man, the stories are freaking amazing.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
And that's where I stumbled across you, Vance, and people like Arthur. And, but after Candy reached out, and she pushed me. I don't know if she knows it or not, but I would have quit without her, for sure. She was sending me messages on Facebook like every few days. How's it going? What are you doing now? Because I started with the bed flex. And I didn't even know if I could do that. It was hard, man. It was hard.
So let me ask you this: had you had your neck surgery before starting DDP Yoga?
Yes, yeah. I had it in 2020, and I was on disability. I laid in bed watching TV, playing video games, and doing nothing for about a year. And man, it only takes a couple months for your body to fall apart. I didn't realize how bad I was.
Shit, at 57, it just takes a couple of days. Man, it's crazy. Man.
Oh, man, don't tell me that. I don't want to know. Yeah, but it was bad. And but yeah, doing that contest. So I won a T-shirt and a heart rate monitor. So she sent that out to me. Oh, and I won a year subscription to the DDP app. So now I got a 2-year subscription because I bought the one already. I was like, shit, now I'm signed up for 2 years. I was like, oh, now I got to be committed for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So that was good. That was the push I needed. And, she kept me accountable, got me involved in the community. And hearing those stories, man, like the weight loss journeys just blew me away. Like people were losing hundreds of pounds of weight. And I'm like, holy crap, how is that even possible? And, you know, you hear the story and it's so inspiring. And here I am trying to gain weight, which is on the opposite side. But it's all similar, right? It's all up here, right? Half of it is just getting committed to your goals and sticking with it, no matter what it is. You're trying to gain weight, you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to eat healthier, you're trying to exercise, whatever. You're trying to stop doing drugs, you're trying to stop drinking alcohol, whatever it is, right? It's that same principle. And you know, going through the list that DDP made up, and all those stories and documentaries he told you to watch, and I was just soaking it in, man. I was watching those every couple days and just on cloud nine, like I was ready to do anything. And so that was perfect. I dove right into the program, did it religiously for, you know, that 6-month period. And then I started to have a couple injuries and things. I was pushing it a bit too hard. I was trying to do a bit too much. But I submitted my story in for the challenge, and some people from DDPY, the company, they reached out, and they were like, man, we love your story, like we're blown away. And I never really thought much of my story. I just thought everybody's got problems. I'm not special. I'm not unique. You know, everybody's fighting all the time. And but when I started to write it down, I started to tell people about it. They're like, man, you've been through a lot of shit. Like, you've seen a lot of stuff, and you've had a lot of pain. And I always joke that I got the body of a 90-year-old. It's so beat up. It's so beat up. I say to my wife all the time, you know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a wrestler, right? I was so inspired. I was like, shit, I should have just become a wrestler because I'm in so much pain. I got so many injuries. And I even joke now. I'm like, you know, DDP became a wrestler when he was 35. I'm only 32. I could still do it. But, yes, I don't know. I'm pretty beat up. But I'm doing better than I have in a long time. You know, in my 20s, there was about 5 years there where I had no health problems. I was doing really good. I was going to the gym. I was healthy. I was in good shape. I felt good mentally, physically. I had started going to therapy. One of my exes, my ex-girlfriend back in the day, she really encouraged me. I always thought counseling was just a bunch of crap, and you know, there's that stigma around it, right? And it's. I've started to realize. I look at it like, you know, if I got a sore leg, I go to the doctor, or I go to physiotherapy. So if I got a mind that I can go see somebody to get some help too, why not, right? It's just another tool in the toolbox. And so I encourage people now, even if you don't think you need it, go to a couple counseling sessions, and it just feels good to talk to somebody in a safe space. And you don't have to wear your heart on your sleeve or anything. It's just a new experience, right? Mm-hmm. Just something to try. But anyway, as restrainful as I was, I went and tried it. And I didn't realize how much trauma I had from being a kid, right? Like had all that illness and that pain and the near-death experiences, things like that. And I didn't know how to process it. And even I was on morphine for such a long time that I started to develop a bit of a dependency to it as a kid. And I used to get, you know, the night sweats and the insomnia. And I was hallucinating and stuff like that. So that kind of, you know, now you're an adult and you look back and you're like, shit, that's not good. Kids shouldn't have to deal with that crap. No.
That's some good shit, though. That's what killed Janice, was that heroin.
Oh, yeah. I always say if I was a rich man, I'd probably have morphine coming to my door.
Yeah, that's right. She, man, I think she had, who was recently, there was somebody that we looked, oh, I know who it was. Who was the guy that did Omar on The Wire?
Oh,
And he did in Boardwalk Express. He was like Whitey or something. Anyway,
yeah.
but
I can't
anyway,
remember.
he overdosed about a year ago. But he was on morphine. I looked him up because a guy was asking me. My cousin was asking me about him. I said, "Well, I think he overdosed." And I looked up on Wikipedia, but he had morphine, heroin, and cocaine. I mean,
Man.
no, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl.
Oh, man.
Shit, man. He the speedball, he threw fentanyl on top of the speedball. He went out in style, boy.
That's a dangerous combination of things for sure.
Shit. And I said, man, he really pushed the envelope, and my cousin said, push the envelope. Shit, it killed him.
Yeah.
That is a wedge.
No kidding, And that's the thing, too, when people are struggling, they're in pain, and they're doing things like that. I've struggled with insomnia my whole life, and after this throat surgery, I was waking up every couple hours coughing and choking. My throat is so sensitive now. And that's another thing. After the surgery, I lost about 50 pounds because I couldn't eat. And the way my vocal cord is paralyzed, it's kind of stuck in a position where it blocks my airway, which blocks my throat, right? So it takes me so freaking long to eat a meal now. Like I'm chewing and chewing and chewing. I got to be really careful when I swallow so I don't choke. And anyway,
DDP's got some issue, kind of like something with his throat, similar to this.
Yeah, a few months ago.
I don't know exactly, but he had. I know that he's had trouble with his throat too.
He had I can't remember exactly what it was, but a few months ago, he called me, and I was like, "Wow, shit, DDP's calling me. Like, this is nuts." And it was great. Like, what a man to reach out to people in the community, to take time out of his busy schedule to do that, and how much that means to us normal people, right? We're just out here trying the best we can.
No, wait a minute. Now, I know what your job is. DDP Yoga's got to put you on the. You got to start saying bro, and DDP Yoga's got to put you on the payroll, and you can start doing DDP's community calls, reach out community calls. You just got to hey bro, you got to bro. You got to get that. You got to get that Boston. I mean that Mass New Jersey. You got to get that New Jersey slang.
Bit of a New Jersey. Well, it's funny. I come from a Italian background. Like I'm a first generation Canadian, and I've always loved those Jersey guys in New York, and all those mafia stories and stuff like that. It's just funny. But those accents.
Hey, that reminds me of another deal. Shit, I can't remember. I think it was. I don't remember. I think it's on Netflix, but it's a damn documentary, and it's one of those sports documentaries where they do different, sports stories. But there was a minor league hockey team.
Oh yeah, I watched this.
You watched that one? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the mob guy that worked, they said it. They claim Sopranos is based on him.
Yeah, I heard
sanitation, but he bought his damn high school son a minor league hockey team. And that guy just crazy.
Or the Galante family. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh, that was what a story! What a story!
Oh, man, that's a great show.
I just love hearing the stories like that. It's just wild what goes on out in the world.
And all those, they brought in all those damn enforcers, and everybody, everybody just loved them. The fans, everybody, and even the guy that ran the league that hated him the whole time. By the end, he really liked him too, because what they did for his league, he got on board.
Yeah, the commissioner there, he was. Yeah. He was so against it. Yeah, I'm a big sports fan. I love sports. obviously being Canadian, it's kind of, you're born and bred into hockey, so I love the Chicago Blackhawks. Big Chicago fan. I've seen, I've watched quite a few other interviews, and you always end up talking about a bit of sports. So it's a cool world. It's a cool world. It's a fun thing to be involved in and to be a fan of.
But yeah, man. So Candy Story got you in.
Yeah.
And you entered into the competition last year?
Yes, last year. Yeah.
And you did you weren't one of the finalists, but evidently your story, I tell you, your story was impactful enough to have them reach out to you. And Steve, you were one of the first names that Steve, you mentioned to me as a potential interviewee.
See, that's wild, because I obviously getting into DDPY, I look up to Steve Yu, and I found out he was a photographer, and kind of heard some of his backing story. So I really look up to the guy, and I had no idea he even knew who I was until you mentioned it there when we were chatting on Facebook. And I went to my wife and I said, "Holy shit, Steve Yu knows who I am."
You're on his radar. You said he said interview Rocco. That's what he said.
That's so cool.
He didn't even tell me your last name. He just said interview Rocco.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he didn't tell me anything about you or anything.
Well, I mean, hopefully you got the right guy. It could have been another Rocco.
Well, surely I did. Hell, this is a great story.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, that's so cool when you kind of get recognized a bit, and it just gives you that extra push, right? It's like you feel like people believe in you, because it's always hard, again, with consistency. It's hard to believe in yourself all the time. Mm-hmm. So to hear other people who you look up to and you're inspired by, it just goes back and forth, right? It's like a little seesaw. It's like, okay, they believe in me, so I should believe in me, and it just works in a little cycle.
And honestly, Steve Yu's about one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and he's really like the wizard, behind the curtain. He's the president of the company, and
that's wild.
Yeah, and he's Dallas's partner, but Dallas is the face and the driving force and the compassion, and it's Dallas's company. Dallas is everything, but Steve Yu's the man behind the scene making it all happen. He's the one pulling the strings behind the scene.
Well, I'll have to. Hopefully, I can get to know him better over the coming or the future here coming up. But I heard you talking about Steve a bit. Something I didn't know was him and his wife did that exercise competition, and that's kind of how he got into it. And then he ended up connecting with Dallas at the airport.
Yeah. And
he was he was into videos and stuff like that. So they kind of brought their brains together and created DDPY.
Yeah, and he the Body for Life, I think, is the name of the company, but it's like it's like 3 letters, but it was a 12-week competition that he and his wife entered, and both of them he showed me pictures, both of them just got ripped, and nice. But his wife won the woman's side.
Oh, good for her.
And I don't know, it was a significant amount of cash, and but he was he's Ivy League educated. He comes from, I don't know, Columbia or somewhere, super smart.
Oh,
guy.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's a I don't know, maybe, I don't think it's Princeton, but it's one of the Ivy League schools. But he was in, he was working on a video, and they started a documentary about, where inspiration comes and what's the final, what's the flip that switches that it's kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back that really gets you going, and he's never finished it, but he's all into the inspiration side of it, and he's the driving force behind the stories, and they got some graphic artists like I think his name Dylan Freimeyer. I'm screwing up his last name, but Dylan did a lot of work on my video, and Steve, and then Dallas, but the other ones that are the storytellers, So yeah, that's what made it. And Dallas was just selling DVDs when he ran into Steve, and then just at an airport they met. And then that's how they collaborate. They formed a partnership, and it's become what it's become now.
Just a chance meeting at the airport, and I know once they did the Shark Tank spiel, that kind of propelled them. And well, it's funny too. When I was, I've always been the type of person that I think it's completely related to my health problems, but I've always felt like I've been running out of time, and kind of never knowing when my time could be up. And so I've always pushed myself harder than I should, which makes myself sicker. So I was always bad at, working for 12 hours nonstop. And of course, you don't eat good, you don't sleep, and you're not doing all the normal things you should be doing to have a well-balanced lifestyle. And but in a way, I've learned a lot of things, and I've got to do a lot of different courses and educational programs, and like everything in life just interests me, man. It's just the whole thing. I'm just so curious about everything, and I learn a little bit of this, and opens up another door, and you go down that door and that door. It's just the endless rabbit hole, right? And so when I was off disabled there, I was getting into some video editing, and I started playing video games. I hadn't played video games since I was a kid. I was never big into them, but they really started to inspire me. I was like, shit, I want to learn how to make video games. I want to tell stories through, because in video games you can do anything. It's a fantasy world. You can tell any story you want. It doesn't have to make sense. You can break the laws of physics, and it doesn't matter. So I started getting to that and doing some app development and things like that on the computer, learning programming languages. And so the past year, I've just been into it. I'm starting to get pretty decent at it. And still much. It's an endless amount you can learn. But, oh, man, has that ever been another motivator for me? And I think that's something you got to reward yourself with something, right? No matter what you're trying to do on your journey with your health, like you got to have a reward that's not something negative. Instead of going out and getting a cake or going out and buying a case of beer or whatever, you got to have something positive. And for me, it's kind of like allowing myself time to learn things, or take my courses online, or play around in this little fantasy world and just get lost in it. And it's something that completely removes me from that daily cycle, that grind that often wears us down. So it's luckily my wife doesn't think I'm crazy, and she lets me go play on the computer, and she understands that I need that time. So I kind of have a few days a week where that's my reward for fighting through everything else. It's like, okay, this is what I can look forward to. So I think that's something that I've learned, and I think it'll help a lot of other people.
No,
if you can kind of set up those positive
that's a great. There's two or three things I'd like to unpack a little there. One is the reward. For people like me, struggling with weight, if we were, like you said, if we were reward ourselves with food or alcohol, I used to drink every day, and or anything else. It's two steps, one step forward, two steps back,
Yeah.
and so we've got to, like you talk about, we got to find a positive, something that we still feel like is a reward for the hard work that we're doing and the break from the grind. The second thing you said, you talked about going into the video games. I got this was back when I was drinking, and I was a solo practice, and I just come home from work, I get drunk every night, and I was playing World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that damn game sucked 2 or 3 years out of my life. I don't even know where they went. I just come home, put on headphones, and pour me a big Dickies, one of these big cups. I'd start my first of 3 of bourbon and cokes, or
big tall boy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then first of 3 or 4 of them, and I just play. My wife would be back around, hollering at me, trying to get me to do something, and the kids would be climbing on me, but it was just an escape from reality, and that's how I survived those days. But damn sure I don't know if it was a positive. I don't know if mine was a positive effect on my life at that moment in time.
Well, I think so, because you're still here with us.
Yes,
right?
That's right. That's right.
Hey, it was just another step in the big picture.
That's right. I like that. Now, you talk about when you were pushing yourself so hard that you, would do damage, and have setbacks physically and things. And I would like for you to talk more about that, because I've done that in my journey. You get to feeling good, you push yourself harder and harder, and then you have an injury, and it just demoralizes you and crushes you, and depresses you, and it's just a part of the journey, like you talk about. It's just these things are going to happen. Your dog's going to get run over. Your wife's going to be mad at you. People are going to pass away. Things in your life are going to fall apart on top of your injuries, and these are setbacks that you've got to understand are just part of the journey. And I'd like to hear more about your injuries and setbacks and how you got through them and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Okay. I'd be happy to try and walk you through some of my zany logic.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I always think, something I always tell myself when I'm down, I'm kind of perpetuating that cycle. You're going through an injury or whatever. You're in a bad state of mind. His life is progressive no matter what. Like, it's going to go on with or without you. The days are going to keep rolling forward. The clock's going to keep going. The calendar doesn't stop. It's not going to stop for you. It's not going to stop for anybody. And like you say, things happen. Your dog might get run over. Your wife's mad at you. And that's part of the journey. And it's not that you shouldn't ever feel upset, or you shouldn't ever take a week to feel like shit, or kind of fall off the horse for a while. That's fine. That's fine. That's life, man. It happens to everybody. You see, it's tough because on the internet, you always see, these influencers or whatever, big CEOs of companies, and it's like, how the hell do they have their life so put together? But it's just what you see, right? I always say, everybody's got to eat, everybody's got to shit, everybody has to shower, And when you put into perspective, we're all human. And everybody's got the human emotion. I don't care how strong you are, or how hard you train, how good your diet is, whatever. You're going to fall off the horse and you're going to be down in the dumps. But you just got to remember to get back on the horse. And you have to remember that even the negative steps are positive steps. Any step is a step forward. Like I said, life is progressive whether we like it or not. So if you can remind yourself of that, I'm not saying spring up out of bed and start doing bench presses. Like, just allow yourself to feel like crap, but know that you got to draw the line at some point and you got to get back on the horse. Like I said just a few months ago, man, I was so depressed. I was so down in the dumps. I was so run down. I wasn't sleeping. When you don't sleep, you don't feel good mentally, physically, right? When you don't sleep, everything spirals out of control. Your health starts to take a hit. And, I think back to when I was younger and I was giving her all the time. Because when I wasn't sick after my operation, I was feeling good for the first time in my life. And I was burning the candle at both ends. I was playing sports again. I was going to university. I was partying. I was partying hard. I was drinking every day, like you said, Mm-hmm. And of course, that was a coping mechanism too, kind of masking all that pain and that trauma. And you just bury it and you bury it. And then that manifests through abusive things like eating or drinking or whatever. I mean, even over-exercising is bad for you, right? Anything you overdo is bad for you. Just because it's supposedly a good thing. If you overdo it, you're overdoing it. That's plain and simple. So I was overdoing it, and I got injured playing hockey, got a bad concussion, hurt my shoulder, and then of course I became a self-loathing person. Couldn't play sports, couldn't do anything. And you just start to hate yourself a bit, and you're like, oh, I was so stupid for doing that, and I shouldn't have done that, and if I wouldn't have done this, I could have done that, and all these what if, and it's like it's not about the what ifs or the past. All you have is the seconds that are ticking by, and if in that moment you decide, okay, what am I going to do about it? What can I do about it? It's not so much what am I going to do, but what can I do about it? And it's just baby steps, right? You don't need, like I said, you don't need to jump out of bed and start doing deadlifts and bench presses. Stay in bed, do DDPY, do the bed flex. That's how I started, and it got me into the chair. I was in the chair, and I felt like an idiot. I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I know I can do more. But if I do more, I know I'm going to hurt myself. So I sat my ass in that chair for 3 months. And it sucked. I hated it. And even when I was getting stronger and I was getting more flexible and I was starting to feel better, you always want to push harder. You always want to push yourself. But then I know if I get injured, it all goes down the drain again. And I'm lying back in bed, playing video games, eating like garbage, not feeling good about myself, not being a good husband, not being a good father, not being a good friend. So the better it's just those two extremes, right? You're either overdoing it or you're underdoing it. So the hardest thing is getting that consistent balance and walking the line, right? And if you can somehow do that and realize that you're going to swing, the pendulum's going to go back and forth. You're going to dip into those extremes. Life's like a little roller coaster like this. And the moments that are beautiful are the ones where you're riding on the straight and narrow. When you have a good routine and you're feeling good mentally, you're feeling good physically, you're making good choices, and you're being the best version of yourself. And so I think just being conscious. Just be conscious of what you're experiencing. Almost look at yourself out of your body, right? just kind of take a step back and remember that even if you're injured or you're going through a tough time, like I saw your video yesterday, you bought all those jars of peanut butter and you were throwing them out. And it's
I
like,
can't have them so much in my house.
you know, it was a weak moment for you. You thought you needed the peanut butter. It was a good deal. You love the peanut butter, right? But then you got home and you're like, shit, if I do this, I'm going to set myself back. So you had that moment of clarity, right? And you threw it out. And all the power to you, man. That's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I hate to throw out food, man. I hate to do it.
Hey, you know, it's like if you would have packed it up in the car and was like, I'm going to take this somewhere and donate it, you would have had second thoughts, you know. It would have been like, maybe I'll just keep one jar, you know.
Yeah.
But you did right. You did an extreme, right? You just threw it out. And it's a hard thing to do, and it's a hard change to make, but I think that's a good step. So,
you ever studied any Buddhism? Some of your philosophies are, you know, are kind of along the lines of like a Buddhist thought, you know.
I've kind of heard bits and pieces about it. It's something I'd like to get more into, because I think if you have that spiritual component of your journey, like we're all on a journey. Life's the journey. There's all the different chapters we're going through. Some are good, some are bad, but we're going through it. So that's something I want to incorporate into my life, is a little more of that spiritual element. I was raised Roman Catholic. It was a bit too much for me to understand when I was a kid. It was always like the fear of God was in you, right? Mm-hmm. But now that I get older...
Catholic guilt.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's some of the things.
Yeah, but see, you know, one of the great things I think about the Catholic religion is you can go into that confessional, confess your sins, and the priest can absolve you of your sins at that time, at that moment. And so you walk out, long as you do, you know, whatever your penance was, the Hail Marys and you know, whatever your penance is, long as you do it, you know that sin's gone. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
That's
I always thought that was a good part of the faith, you know, knowing that that one's done with. I don't have to worry about that one anymore.
I think it's good, but I think some people abuse it, right?
Yeah.
I think again, use it as a crutch to be a bad person, and it's like, well, I'll be absolved of everything. You know, I can get away with murder. The priest will forgive me.
I always wondered, you know, what the priests sit in there and think, listening to all that stuff about people. You know, they got to hear the worst of all the people.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm sure they'd have some interesting stories. Yeah, that's a good. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because I think the spiritual side, it can be helpful too. And that's the thing, is you gotta. It's not one thing that's gonna set you on the right path. You gotta look at lots of different things. We've got all these tools and resources. Especially now more than ever with the internet, right? We're so connected. Mm-hmm. You don't understand something, you can hop on YouTube and Wikipedia and learn about it in 15 minutes. You know, get a quick understanding of it. So use it. Use all the tools that you have at your disposal. So that's another thing. You should never count yourself completely down and out, because you can always reach out. There's always the community. There's the DDPY community. Yeah. If you can't get a hold of a friend or a family member, somebody to kick you in the butt or somebody to inspire you, you can always find somebody online. And
tell them how to get into the DDP. You know, act like we're talking to someone who doesn't know anything about DDP Yoga. How to get into the community.
All right. Well, if you're new to DDPY, You're going to want to get onto Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, you got to sign up for Facebook. I was a little reluctant to get back on there at first, but I'm glad I did. Anyway, get on there. There's a group. It's called DDPY. I think it's DDPY Yoga.
DDP Yoga, all one word.
DDP Yoga, all one word. And join up there. It's like 70,000 plus people sharing their stories and their journey. And it will inspire you. There's something out there for everybody. And also, Google DDPY, get the app. I know the DVDs are great, but if you're subscribed to something, I think you're going to be a little more attached to it. You're gonna get more involved in the program if you know you're paying monthly for it, right? So, and the app's great. There's so much on there. There's so much. It's almost overwhelming, the amount of information that you can find on the app. And do it and reach out. Make yourself accountable. I started to realize I wasn't documenting a lot of my journey, and I wasn't getting involved. I wasn't sharing my story online. And I've started to realize that's a big part of it too, because once you put yourself out there, you kind of have to be accountable to yourself a little bit more. And you start to make a couple of connections and friends in the community. And people are concerned about you. If they don't hear about you, they're going to reach out. And so that's been good. I got my mom doing DDPY now.
Oh, well, good for her. Good for her.
And it's been great. It's been so great. She struggled with a ton of health issues, and she's quite overweight. And her nutrition hasn't been good for a long time. So it's been quite emotional for me to see her get involved in it. And when I found out I was going to be a parent, I kind of threatened her. I said, well, you're not going to be able to crawl around on the floor and play with your grandson. And she was like, shit, like, you got me there, you called me out. And so she started with the DVDs, I think, and she did 100 days in a row to start off with.
That's tough to do it every day.
Oh, it was tough. It was tough, and she was hurting. And but then she started to feel good. Her joints were feeling better, and her arthritis was getting a bit better. And just a couple weeks ago, she hurt her toes doing a workout, like she was doing Energy 2.0 or something like that. She hurt her toes, and of course she goes off to the doctor right away, and they diagnose her with some new thing. I know she's all wrapped up on that. She, I've got whatever wrong with my toes, so I can't do yoga. And I was kind of like, you know what, forget about the diagnosis. Like, yeah, it hurts, but don't stop it. Do what you can. Get in the chair. Do the bed stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's always an alternative.
You don't need your toe for the chair warrior exercises, and you don't need your toe for the bed flex.
That's right. And they're still hard workouts, right? If you engage properly, you'll get your heart rate up, man. You'll be sweating. Yeah. I know I was. I was sweating in the chair. I didn't know I could sweat so much sitting in a chair moving my arms around.
Well, what exercises, what are you doing now? What have you worked up to?
I'm doing intermediate, okay? And again, this is my third time through on intermediate. Yeah. I probably could move on, but again, I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to push it too far. The fat burner kicks the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. Energy's pretty good. I can get through energy and feel good after, but I mean, fat burner, like I got to be careful when I do it so I don't. I've got a hernia in my core, so if I do push my core too much, that flares up, and then I neglect working out.
You got a hernia where?
It's right beside my belly button. So I think when I had my big intestinal resection, the muscles and stuff there, once they got cut, they were so damn weak, right? So I think that hernia popped through, and it's been there for a while, and I don't want any more surgeries. I've had 9 major surgeries now, and I don't. Surgery, it's just like medication. You go in for surgery and you come out with 10 new problems.
Yeah, sure.
So if you can try and rehab yourself through exercise and nutrition before you consider your surgery. And I know it's scary when a doctor tells you the list of things that are wrong with you and that you need medication or surgery to fix you. Of course, don't neglect it, but explore all the options first. Don't get blinded by the medical terminology, and don't, because if you do, then you think of yourself as a sick person. And that was a part of my problem, was I always, I can't do this because I'm sick, right? I can't go out and do photography because I'm sick. I can't play in a band because I'm sick. I'd always think of that. You think of yourself as a sick person, and you become sick. You are what you eat, and you are what you think.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's you got to keep that mentality.
You talked about the wanted to raise up 2 things. You talked about the wave, and I saw something on YouTube one time talking about dieting and the wave. You're going to be going through these peaks and valleys like you're talking about. And the goal is, when you're on that peak, is try to just stay as consistent as you can, like you talk about, and try to ride that wave and as long as you can, because it's gonna die out and you're gonna slip back down into that valley, and then you got to do whatever you got to do to get through that damn valley to get back up on that peak and try to ride it again.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a never-ending process. It's like surfing. You just waiting on those waves to come catch you, and then you hold on and hope it lasts for a long time.
That's right. And you never know. You never know when you're going to come crashing down again.
No. You never know when somebody's going to drop you.
That's right. And it can happen in a split second. It's just a miracle. We wake up every morning,
Yeah.
And all those hazards, I always say, you can slip and fall going up the stairs and seriously injure yourself. So it's just, you're just so lucky to make it through every day and not have anything catastrophic happen that's going to set you back.
The 2 other things you talked about I think is important. I was listening to this audio book I got off Audible talking about how to become a life coach, because I started my deal Transform with Vance to try to help people. But 2 of the things that they really talk about is to have a learner's mind, to be open. The older we get, that we become more closed-minded and
That's right.
and think we know things. And so you talked about it beautifully. You look at life like, every day's a blessing, or grateful, and what can I learn today from my teacher? You can learn something from everybody, from everywhere. Don't ever give up that beginner's learner's mind. And the other thing was to stay positive. What you touched on is to, you don't want to look at yourself. You don't want to look at your faults. You want to look at your potential, and and do affirmations or meditations. But you want to, every one of us is beautiful. People are just people, and there's going to be good and bad in all of us. But we have to really focus on the good. I think the Buddha said that, everybody has 10,000 joys and 10,000 sufferings. It's just a matter of how we react to each one,
That's right. That's right.
So just...
you got to think, if you wouldn't have got up so heavy and gained all that weight and went through all those hard times, maybe you never would have found DDPY. Maybe you would have never started focusing on nutrition, right? So without that, you can't think, I just would have been better off if I wouldn't have put on the weight, or I would have been better off if I wasn't sick. It's like, no, you wouldn't have had the experience, right? So you wouldn't know how beautiful life could be. If you didn't go through the suffering, how do you see the light, right? You got to go through the darkness to see the light.
Yep.
If you just, life's not all rainbows and sunshine, right? You would never appreciate anything if it was.
That's right.
Because you would never know any different. So, yeah, it's the two sides of the coin, right? The two sides of the spectrum.
The yin and the yang.
The yin and the yang. Yeah, see, I want to know more about that. You got me curious about this Buddhist stuff now.
Buddhist or the Tao, or, the Buddhist.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in. Some of the stuff I have trouble with, but a lot of the stuff I think is incredible. Some of the Buddhist faith I think is incredible.
Well,
I think some of all faiths are incredible. And
yeah. There's a little bit something in all of them
yes.
that I think are interesting. I don't care if you're atheist or if you're full-on Christian or whatever. Like, just do some exploring. Open your mind up.
Yeah.
There's something good in everything, right? Even the bad stuff. There's something good there. And I loved when you said, as you get older, you start to get a little bit of tunnel vision. You get set in your ways and you get a narrow mind. And I've noticed that. I mean, I know I'm still relatively young, but I catch myself all the time. It's like, man, you can't think that. Like, you don't limit yourself, right? Just because I would do something the way I do doesn't mean the way somebody else is doing it is wrong.
That's right.
Like, if they're doing something that I would consider wrong, like, well, maybe that's what works for them. So maybe I should try and understand why they're doing it the way they are. And it might open up a new door for me, right? I could become a better person if I'm not scared to expand my horizons a little bit. So that's what worked for me. I mean, of course, that's not true in every situation. And you got to have hard lines too, but life's a big enjoyable experience if you want it to be, and there's an endless amount of things to learn.
We only get one shot at it, so we got to make the best of it,
That's right. When you said you do the audiobooks, I love audiobooks. Like, if you can't find the time, I like reading too. I try and do it before bed. It helps calm me down, take my mind off things. And it helps with my insomnia a bit. Instead of popping a sleeping pill, I try and read until my eyes get tired.
So you're still having the insomnia?
Oh, yeah, big time. I said I was a good candidate to become a parent because having a newborn, you're up all the time anyways, so... I said, geez, we should have had twins. Bring on more work for me. But
So do they know what causes insomnia?
They think it's because I have a lot of chronic pain. So my body's in a lot of stress. And I always equated stress to being a mental thing. Like, you think you're stressed out and you got a lot on your plate, right? You're working too hard or you're trying to accomplish too much. Or you've had trauma or something bad happen, you're stressed out. But I never really considered physical stress. So if your body actually has like swelling, or inflammation in it, you're putting physical stress on yourself. And of course, your body's located inside of your mind, or your mind's located inside of your body. It's all connected. I think a lot of people look at the mind is something separate, and I try not to. I think of it it's another organ in your body, and you got to keep the whole thing healthy, right? So if you've got swollen ankles, you got inflammation, you got stress. It's going to cause stress in your mind subconsciously without you even knowing about it, because all your nerves are working at a lower capacity, right? And your muscles aren't functioning as well as they could be, and I think those are just sending responses back to your brain. So it's all connected. So that was, I just started to realize that, the physical stress and the pain on your body is causing mental stress too.
Does the DDPY help with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. the workouts are so low impact that it just helps to get that blood flow up better and reduce that inflammation and just make you a lot more conscious about the movements. You know, when Dallas tells you, like, you know, grip your toes, grip your, you know, flex your quads, flex your calves, all that stuff. It's not stuff you normally think about in your day-to-day life. You don't think about engaging all these different muscle groups. And the more you can do that, I think, the more in tune you get with your body. You start to listen to your body in a better way, and you start to just get more acquainted with yourself. So I think the better you can get to know yourself, I always say, one thing I always say to people is, yeah, life's hard, but it's already hard enough to just control yourself. Like it's a double full-time job. It's around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just trying to figure yourself out. So cut yourself some slack, man. You don't have to be the CEO of a company to be successful. Like, just, you can be successful by taking care of yourself, right? And other things will come. If you take care of yourself, other opportunities will come. And you doing the mentorship, the life coaching, like it's huge, because you're going to win while you're helping other people win. Because again, it's that student and teacher aspect, and you can be a student because you hear other people's issues, and you look at it through their eyes, and it's going to make you a better person because you're opening yourself up to new experiences. So again, that's just, be like a child, right? Everything's new and exciting. It's
absolutely.
Be innocent, right? Don't hold things in your heart that make you upset. And I always say to my wife, I've got this shelf of rage inside me, and that somewhere inside me, I can be a very angry, mean person. And a lot of times I feel like I'm wearing a mask around. Like, I go out to work and I go to therapy and stuff, and I'm always this happy-go-lucky guy. But that's not me, you know? That's not the whole me. There's a lot of different parts of me. And so I've actually been trying to get better at letting some of that out. Like, if I'm pissed off and mad, try and get it out in the moment instead of burying it, and then you have the big blow up down the road, right?
That's what I do. I bury it, and then I become a contrarian. You know, I'm passive aggressive.
Well, me too.
I become hard to deal with, man.
Yeah, and then it's people you love that end up getting the short end of the stick.
That's right.
And they don't deserve it, right? You know.
Yeah.
So you got to find ways to deal with that too, and I've been trying to get better at that.
Yeah.
And again, you're never going to master any of these things.
You know what? I was thinking of it. I don't even know what Avenger movie it was, but Ben Danner, you know, the Hulk. He said, "I'll tell you a secret." He said, "I'm always angry." I can't remember what movie it was. Yeah, they were worried if the Hulk was going to be able to come out, and he leaned over and said, he said, "I'll tell you a secret. I'm always angry."
I'm always angry. I know you're a bit of a stand-up comedy fan, and I think it was Bill Burr. I watched one of his comedies.
I love Bill Burr.
Yeah, he's hilarious, and he talked about having that shelf of rage. And it just keeps stacking up, and it's stacking up, and he's just, he's getting mad, and he's restraining himself, right? And so that's, it's something to be aware of, and sorry, go ahead.
I got to ask you, because I don't know. You said you played hockey.
Yes.
The one thing I think, I love the contact of hockey,
Yeah.
You know, 'cause I played football growing up. But
Okay.
But my favorite thing about hockey is the way they substitute.
They jump over the boards like a bunch of
Yeah,
maniacs.
explain to me how they do. I mean, they don't even stop the games. They just jump
Oh,
in
man.
and out. How does it work?
I always love that too. You know, I played a lot of sports growing up, and I got good at quite a few. I played football, not very long, but I played baseball, I played hockey, I played soccer, and there's nothing like hockey. There's nothing like hockey. Like, you're skating, first of all, on ice. It's so cold, but you're sweating your ass off. You know, it's all these contradictions combined into one sport. But yeah, in soccer, I played indoor soccer. I loved indoor soccer because
That's
it was like
fast-paced.
hockey.
Yeah,
It was like hockey. You can use the boards to dump the ball, right?
yeah.
And you can pass to people and bounce off the walls. I love that. And so, anyways, there was the booths, right, where you would sit. The teams would sit on the stands, and a lot of times we jump over the boards in indoor soccer as well to do substitutes, or if somebody got injured, you know, you jump out, run and try and get back into the game as quickly as possible, and that
You
guy
could do
could
it. You could do it without you know, in regular soccer, they got to stop the play and the ref lets them in. So it's not that way for indoor. They can come in.
No. Indoor's like a whole different game, and I loved it. I played outdoor soccer. I hated it. I was like, man, there's whistles all the time, and
Yeah.
I can't
Everybody's
watch.
faking injuries. Everybody wants
That's
that
right.
free
That's
kick.
right. Yeah.
Everybody wants
Yes. Yeah. Some guy's pretending some guy pushed him and he fell down. He's got a broken arm now. You know.
Yeah, and they carry him off on a stretcher, and then he comes right back in.
That's right. That's right. Like, I can't watch soccer on TV. I hate watching it. I'm not a fan of it, but I love playing it.
I
But
like the World Cup, though. I get into the World Cup. I like watching
yeah,
it.
it's pretty competitive. It's pretty competitive. I like that.
Hey, I'll tell you something funny. My daughter was playing volleyball back in the day. She's in mid-20s now, and this was like a 13, 14-year-old group, 50, I don't know. But they made some big tournament in Reno, and so I went out there, and it was during the World Cup, and the U.S. was in the World Cup. And, you know, I considered it it was a sign. How many times would I ever get an opportunity to bet on World Cup soccer? So during that, 4 or 5 day tournament, I bet on every soccer game that I could watch. And, it's like football. You know, you bet. If you bet for the favorite, you pay more to win $100. If you bet for the underdog, you bet $100 to win more than $100. You know,
That's right.
You pick a team, and and then you pay the whatever the line is, the numbered line, dollar line, and so it's really a 50-50 bet, except for the numbers. And so I think I bet 13 times, and I want you to know I went 0-13.
Oh.
I can tell you that I am not, it definitely showed me I have no knowledge of soccer, or at least how to bet on it, who's going to win. It didn't even I got so mad I bet on the team I didn't want to bet on, and I'd still lose. You know.
Soccer is always. There's hardly any blowouts in soccer, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's never a 7-0 game. It's always so tight, right? I guess that's what makes it interesting. But it's fun. Like with football and hockey or baseball, a team can come and just stomp the other guys, right? It could be 10-0 in hockey, or 10-0 in baseball, whatever, 50-0 in football. But soccer, it could be 1-1 for an hour and a half. And it seems like nothing's happening. Like the ball's just moving around, and it's not even getting close to the goals. That's kind of funny that way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
I didn't mean to get you off track, but I love the substitution in hockey, man. That's my favorite thing about hockey, the way that I think all sports should substitute like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd love to see that in football.
Yeah,
Like
me too.
like just no whistles, you know. The defense comes on, the offense comes off.
Lines up and play, goes.
Yeah, the guy's kicking the ball at the other end and they're still subbing, you know.
Yeah.
Offense is coming on to try and pick up the ball, and imagine the chaos, you know.
I'd love it, man. That's the way it should be,
It would be interesting.
Hey, my other hockey reference is Slapshot. I love it.
Oh, great movie, yeah.
Yeah, with the Hanson brothers.
The Hanson brothers, yeah. Wearing
Paul
tinfoil
Newman.
on their, wearing tinfoil
padding
on
up for the games. What are you doing? Padding up for the game, Coach?
Oh, those are great shows. Great shows.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A slap shot. They said they made the bus look mean. They beat up the bus.
Yeah, they were pretty much like professional wrestlers on ice, basically.
Yeah, they just went crazy when they were going to move. They just went all in.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, comedies are a really important thing that I think everybody should try and incorporate in their lives. Because you got to be able to laugh at yourself, and you got to be able to laugh at other people, and you just can't take things too seriously.
No.
Like, it seems... I don't know how. I'm sure it's similar in the States, but in Canada, we've gotten so politically correct here, and it's like you can't even sneeze without pissing somebody off anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, like let's get back a little. Like you have to understand things are just jokes, right?
Yeah.
We need to laugh more, man. Like people need to laugh, and we need to laugh together. We all need to be united and laugh together.
I agree. Hey, how far are you from Toronto?
Oh, shit. I drove, okay.
They got that's big comedy time up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it would probably take me 4 days to drive there.
Damn, that is a long way.
Yeah, like 48 hours away in a car.
Damn.
Yeah, Canada's freaking massive, man. I still don't appreciate how big it is. Mm-hmm. But I've done a few road trips. It's so expensive to fly in Canada.
Really?
That, yeah, like it'll cost me like $1,000 to fly out to Vancouver, let's say. And it's just 2 provinces over from me. So it's kind of crazy. I've got some family out there, and actually, I had family down in Fort Worth, Texas.
Really? See, Fort Worth's only about 40 minutes from me.
Oh, really? Oh, that's cool. I'd love to come down. I never made it down there, but my uncle he was my great uncle. He was an Air Force pilot, and then he became a commercial pilot, and lived down in Fort Worth and worked out of Dallas. I think there was. But anyway, he passed away now, but I always wanted to come down to that area and kind of experience what they lived around, and just he was pretty well off, and he collected Lincolns, old cars, and he would restore them in his spare time.
Do they have some of those 50 suicide door ones?
I think he did. I think he had one of them. Yeah, I think he had like 4 of them, and one of them had the suicide doors. It was definitely the older ones.
Yeah, at suicide doors, those are neat.
Oh, it's just a cool design. Yeah, it's a neat look. Mm-hmm. But hey, if I ever make it down there, Vance, I'll give you a ring. Yeah. I'll let you know I'm coming. We can get up and do a DDPY session together or something.
Let's do it. There's a few people around here. Mary Pekaler lives up between Dallas and Fort Worth, and there's quite a few people around. Chase Green, I don't know. He was probably might have been before you got involved, and he's not. Yeah, I don't know. And Justin Dobbin supposedly is going to make a road trip down here soon.
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah,
we'll
Justin's
see.
got a great outlook on things too, and I really enjoyed watching him there on your podcast. And I see him in the community all the time, sharing a little bit about his life, and
He's a serious
that's
dude, man.
yeah,
He's a serious dude.
I love that. Yes, for as nice as I come across, I'm very serious and I'm very competitive in nature, and I can. A lot of times I can get caught up in my own bullshit, and I just I'm so focused on something, I'm pissed off and mad, and everybody else is like, "Hey man, take a chill pill."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you got me.
Yeah,
Like
you
you,
got
yeah,
me.
yeah.
So,
Thank you for calling me.
yeah. Hey, so tell us about your wife. We
All
talked
right.
about your wife and your son.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've only been married for about 2 years now. Okay. I met her. We've been together almost 5 years now, and I had a series of other relationships and through my life, and I always took them really seriously. Always thought that person was going to be the one. And again, I think that's because of all those traumatic experiences I had in my life. I always thought I got to hurry up and get on with it, right, and take the next step. And thank God none of those worked out. Yeah, I would have been in a bad place. Now I look back and it's like a lot of those relationships were toxic. That was bad stuff. But of course, you learn a lot and you grow. And I'd kind of given up on relationships. I was kind of done. Just like Seth was saying, it's when you don't really want it, that's when sometimes it comes into your life, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was with a good friend of mine, and we were having some drinks, and he's like, "Oh, get on this online dating app, And I was like, no way. I hate that online shit, and I don't want to join up and put my photo on there and whatever." Anyways, had a few more drinks. Next thing you know, I'm signed up for this stupid dating app. And about a week later, I match with my future wife. And a couple days go by, and we were just texting on our phones, and we'd planned a date to meet up, and we went to my favorite restaurant. It's this local little Jamaican place in town here. And I was like, "Have you ever been here before?" She says, "No." So right on, we set the date. We set the date up, and we hit it off. We had a great time, and I just loved how confident she was, and how her sense of humor was incredible. It was my flavor,
Yeah.
we understood each other, and she was serious, and she knew what she wanted out of life. And that's kind of how I thought I was. But she really,
What does she want?
she wanted, she knew what she wanted to do in her career. Like, she works in HR, and she took that real seriously. And it's funny, I was listening to your interview with Stephanie, and Stephanie reminded me a lot of my wife, like just her work ethic and working in HR, and kind of creating opportunities for yourself. And I know it's tougher for women. For so long it's been a man's run world, and it's hard to kind of break into things. Maybe they just don't have that confidence, or men don't take them as serious. And so I think you kind of gotta fight a bit when you're a woman, and you gotta be aggressive and assertive. And so that's how my wife is. And I loved it. And I was like, "Oh, here's a person who can call me out on my bullshit too, right?"
Yeah.
Just what I need, right? So we hit it off. We started dating. We both love music. We were going to concerts. We're both fans of Elvis Presley. She loves Elvis. So we went and saw a couple Elvis impersonators, things like that. Some goofy, fun times. And years went by, and I thought, man, I think this is the one. This is, she's a first-generation Canadian, too. So she kind of has that foreign mindset a little bit, and we both have those funny family stories and traditions, and so I loved her family too. That was a big thing. They're Polish, so they're like, you know, her dad's like the type of person where, you know, just put some dirt on it if you hurt yourself, and drink some vodka and get back to work, right?
Yeah, it'll grow back. It'll grow back.
Exactly, yeah. And I always loved that mentality. It was always really inspiring for me, like people who have grown up in communist countries and they've seen some shit, you know. And so I was always attracted to that. I gravitated towards it because I always think here in Western civilization, a lot of these young kids run around, we got it so damn easy, you know. We can't forget about that history, right? Because I always think if things get too easy, you know, you get to the peak, and boom, you have a crash. So I think in a lot of ways, you know, COVID and the way the world is right now, we're going through some tough times, and I think things will get a little worse before they get better. But anyways, so I think it's good to learn about history.
Yeah, it always repeats itself.
Exactly, absolutely. As much as we say it's not, it is.
you know, every moment in time thought their era was special.
Yeah.
Different than the others. But
yeah.
It all repeats. People are people, and it all repeats itself.
That's right. It's the bigger picture, right? It's like we're not any smarter than we were before. Sure, we do things differently, but man, people had strengths and weaknesses they had back then that were helping them thrive and survive in the dark ages or whatever. Like, it's just a different time, like you say. But anyway, back to my wife. So it's funny, right before I got diagnosed with this throat cancer, I decided to propose to her. So we were out at their family cabin. We love going out to the cabin, and I'm so lucky her family's got this beautiful, you know, it's a little tiny dinky cottage, but it's a cottage, and I love it. So
is it in the woods, on the lake? You said you're in the lake.
It is, yeah. It's a lakefront property they bought about 30 years ago. There was nothing developed out there back then. They got it for like dirt cheap. And it started to develop quite a bit more over the past 30 years. And her dad built this cabin. It's about 24 by 12 feet. You know, he built it all by himself. And it's got just the bare essentials. It's got an outhouse still. But it's great. We love it. Anyways, we were out there. It was the winter time, and I thought this would be a special place to propose. So we were out just walking around out on the ice. It was all frozen over, right, and snow on it. And that's when I proposed to her. And she said yes, which was great. And then about a month after that, you know, shit hit the fan. I got diagnosed with this throat cancer, and she's crying and she's panicked, and I go for the operation, and I couldn't talk at all after the operation. Couldn't speak it was about 3 months, and COVID had hit at the same time after my operation, so all the hospitals were like shut down, and nobody gave me any assistance. I was in the hospital for less than 24 hours after my surgery. They sent me home, no guidance, nothing. They didn't tell me to start doing physio or starts doing speech therapy, anything like that.
In the early days, nobody knew shit what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah, I think everybody was just so panicked, and all those policies came in, and everything just shut down. So I think I just kind of fell through the cracks. And man, I'd spent so much time in the hospital in my life, I didn't really care. I was like, thank God they shipped me back home. And I'm home. I was happy about that. But of course, my wife was kind of like, completely shocked after this. And I joked her. I was like, well, thank goodness I proposed to you before I lost my voice, because it'd be kind of awkward going on dates now and writing down my thoughts on a piece of paper and showing it to the person. They probably would have ran so fast. But eventually, I've got a couple of really good friends, and one of my friends came over and he started kind of advocating for me. He was doing phone calls and trying to get some information on what I can do to start recovering, what kind of rehab I can do.
All right, we're back on, and I cut you off. You was about to start talking about your friends searching around and finding you some rehab to do for your neck exercises.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was lucky to have a couple of real close friends who helped support me and get some answers. And, it was, again, I kind of beat myself up because I always thought, well, what if there was no COVID? And what if the hospital would have given me some direction? The day after I was discharged from the hospital, I feel like I could have been so much further ahead than I am now, with my speech and with the pain and just kind of understanding how it's affected my body. But that's not the case, right? So here we are. I found DDPY, and man, that was all I did for physical therapy for about 6 months. And then finally, I found out that I should actually be working with like a specialist who can give me targeted exercises for my neck, because I have these, I hate calling it a headache, but I have head pain on the left side here. And it's partially due to nerve damage and partially due to that, the scar tissue is so tight there that I'm kind of, it's all stretching down and whatnot. So it was about a year too late, but I've started getting into it now, and I'm taking it real serious now. But again, sorry, go ahead.
Did you tell them to straighten, get rid of this while they were working on you and take out, tighten you up around here, give you that chiseled look, that good that's Roman right. Chin,
Yeah, that's right. My wife joked, I got a free facelift,
That's right. It's a hard way to get a facelift,
That's right, yeah. But, yeah, it's been a journey, man. I'm getting better. It's still challenging, and there's still a lot of aches and pains. But
what's your wife think about DDPY?
Well, hold on, one more thing before we get to that. Right. The area I live in, it's so small, right? And I remember when I was a kid, my dad took me to a WWF house show, and we had to travel for it to this, the city, and it was at this arena where like it holds 5,000 people or whatever. And there's Jet saying hi.
Yes.
Hey Jet, how's it going? Anyway, we went to this arena, and it was the middle of winter. It's freezing cold, and it's a small town. Right, 200,000 people live there. And Christian, when he was first starting his wrestling career, Edgy Christian and Gangrel, And
Yeah,
Christian
I'm
was on
not.
the
I
mic.
never was a wrestling fan. I don't know. I
No?
didn't even know who DDP was. No.
Really? Oh, man. I think you'd like wrestling. If you like sports, you'd probably like wrestling.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was this wrestler, Christian. And he had the microphone. He was a bad guy, right?
A heel.
No,
I know.
a
I know
heel,
the
yeah,
terms. A heel and for the baby face and heel. DDP
Yeah.
taught me the terms.
I was going to say heel, but you say you weren't a wrestling fan, so I had to say bad guy.
No, DDP made sure I knew the terms. You know.
Okay, yeah. Anyways, he was a heel at the time. And he's on the mic, and he says, here we are, we're in the pimple on the ass of Canada. Because that's how small the area is, right?
Yeah.
And so through my whole health journey, I live in this small community, and like, what the hell kind of doctor would want to come work here when they could be making big money in the big centers in the big city, the Torontos or the New Yorks of the world. And so I've always kind of felt that with all my health issues, I probably could have got better care if I grew up in, New York or had better access, right? But I've worked with what I got. And anyway, you asked what my wife thinks of DDPY and all of this. And okay, so another thing I love about my wife is she's a very active person. When I met her, she had run a half marathon, and I'd never met anybody who'd run a half marathon before. I was just so intrigued by this, right? And she's never had a freaking health problem in her life. Never spent a day in the hospital till she delivered our son. And I just couldn't believe that. I was like, are you serious? Here's me. If I tallied it up, it's like hundreds of days I've spent in the hospital, right? And I was just like, shit, this is the person I want to be with. They're almost the opposite of me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you hope your son gets more of her genes than yours.
Oh, absolutely. We joke about that all the time. I'm like, I hope you got all your genetics, because I'm just a bag of broken glass here, basically. But
but I've been meaning to ask you. I always thought skin cancers were like in sunny regions. I wouldn't think, people up there in Saskatchewan.
Well,
I'm saying that right. Canada is would have the skin cancer issues.
Well, it's funny. So in Saskatchewan, we get the most daylight out of anywhere else in the country.
Really?
Yeah. So in the summertime, the sun will come up sometimes like 4:30 in the morning, and it'll be up to almost 11 o'clock at night. And we don't have any mountains or anything here. Like I said, it's the bald prairie for the most part.
It's the
So you see that sunset. It's the sunsets and the sunrises here are something else. I'll have to send you a couple photos. And I didn't put any filters on them or anything. It's I call them cotton candy skies, because they have that pinkish. You probably get nice sunsets there in Texas too, similar to that. But damn, do we get a lot of sunshine here. I've got friends who have moved to Saskatchewan from Eastern Canada or Western Canada, and they say one of the big reasons is the daylight. They're like, yeah, it gets down to minus 40 Fahrenheit in the winter, and you go outside and your snot freezes in your nose. But it's sunny out, so there's something to that, because I think that vitamin D, that sunshine, that helps keep a person positive, and it keeps you healthy. In my case, not so much, just because genetically on both of my parents' sides, we've had that skin cancer, so I wear a lot of long sleeve outside and a hat on a lot, but I take a lot of vitamin D So I take about 10,000 U of vitamin D every day. So it's quite a bit, but I do notice it makes me feel better. When I don't have it, I don't feel as good. And the winter can be brutal because, opposed to the summer, the sun can only be up for, we can go a week without seeing the sun if it's overcast. And it doesn't come up till, 9 in the morning. It sets at 4:30 in the afternoons. It's different, but that's another thing I love about living here is, I always say you can't appreciate the summer without that brutal winter. Yeah. So it's like we get that snow and we get that cold, but when when February, March rolls around, you can tell things are changing, and it puts you into a different frame of mind.
Hey, have you ever read that short story by Jack London called "To Build a Fire"? Mm-hmm. You ever read that? It's about on the Yukon, during the gold rush days, and trying to build a fire after he fell in the water in the middle of the winter. It's a real short story, but it's brutal, man.
I got about 10 things here now you've told me about, and I just keep jotting them down. Vance, I'm going to be busy for the next 3 months.
hey, that "To Build a Fire" is worth reading. It's a great short story. And another great short story, Ernest Hemingway, is The Short and Happy Life of Francis McGilvey or something. The Short and Happy Life of Francis. It's Muck something.
Oh, okay. I'll write that down.
Yeah, did you find the right name?
Francis. Nope, that's not it.
Pop up. Let's see.
Francis. There it is. Yeah, got it.
What's the last name?
McComber? Is that how you say it?
McComber. The Short Happy Life. That is Hemingway at his finest.
Okay, yeah, I've read a lot about Hemingway, but I haven't read a lot of his his writings.
He's brutal on life. His outlook on life is kind of like is yours about the suffering and the brutality of it, and it's not a rosy outlook.
Well, anyway, I like that. I've always gravitated to suffering and depressing music and things like that. I've always just loved it, so I'm sure I'll eat that up too.
Well, tell me what you think about The Short Happy Life of Francis McGilvey.
I will. We'll have to do a follow-up interview once I've had a chance to go through all your suggestions here. See, that's what I love about meeting new people, is they have all these different experiences to share with you, and I think a lot of that stuff's going to be right up my alley. So. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I keep cutting you off, though, before you get to your wife and DDPY.
No, that's fine. My wife, at first, she thought it was outrageous, okay? She was like, what is this yoga that you're doing? And, she was never a wrestling fan. She's like, who is this Dallas Diamond guy? She'd always get his name wrong and all this. And but she saw how much I was struggling after my latest surgery and losing my voice and my mobility issues and the pain I was in. And she saw how I gravitated toward it and how much it meant to me. And so she got on board with it. She started to make an effort to learn about it. And for my birthday, that year after my surgery, she bought me a DDP cameo. So wow. I still watch it from time to time. But she kind of shared the whole story with them about all that crap I was going through. And he addressed a lot of it. And he's like, DDP is right. Watch this, do this, do that. And he told a little bit about his story. And it was just fuel on the fire, man. I was like, all right, okay, this is for real. Let's do it. So she's
That dude's going 24/7 all the time. I mean, every time I've been out there, that son of a bitch doesn't slow down. He's working out. You know, he'll come home at night. You know, like we finally get home. The one or two times I stayed at his house. Then he'd lay in the floor. He's trying these. He's got some kind of deal that you lay on that helps the blood flow that he got from somewhere, and he's doing stretching on it at night while he's watching TV. He just never stops. You know, and he's got these two. He's got two now barometric pressure chambers, and then he gets in. He's got two of those. He gets in that every day, and then he saunas, and and the guy never stops, man. And he's calling people, and I mean, he just never stops.
I love that. I've tried to live like that too. I'm so set on getting a sauna. Like I keep telling the wife, we're gonna get a sauna.
I want a sauna.
Yeah, I think they're so healthy for you, and that's interesting. You mentioned the barometric chambers. Because our barometric changes here are so drastic in this extreme climate. And I think if you can regulate that, you're going to be healthier, your body's going to work better. So that's funny you're saying he lays on. My wife always makes fun of me because when I watch TV, I'm always laying on the floor doing these weird stretches that I kind of make up and incorporate a little DDPY in there too. But I can't sit still. I don't know if I've got ADD or something, but like I always need to be going. And like even my desk I have here on my computer, it's a stand-up desk because I just like being able to stand up or sit down or it's close to my treadmill too. So a lot of times if I'm watching TV, I'll be on the treadmill, just walking. I just need to be doing something. So that's
cool.
But then again, you gotta watch so you don't burn yourself out.
Yeah.
You don't want to injure yourself, and you don't want to burn yourself out, because then you're stuck in the bed again, right? So.
Yeah. Hey, so tell me when you go to your wife's dad's cabin, do y'all do any ice fishing?
Yes, yeah.
Do y'all have like a little house you push out on the ice and you drill a hole in the ice? And
Yeah. I've got an auger in my storage room here, and we take it out. We drill holes in the ice. Me and a couple of my buddies, we built an ice shack a couple of years ago. It's basically just like a shed. We put some skids on it so they can put it in the back of their truck, and we go out and drop it off on the ice. And man, it gets so cold here. We need to put an extension on our ice auger, and it goes down about 5 feet. That's how thick the ice is. So no problem. You can drive your truck out on there. People are ripping around on quads and skidoos and just having a blast. Some people shovel out the ice. They play hockey out in front of their ice shacks. Some people go skeet shooting out on the ice. It's a riot. It's a riot. I wish everybody could experience that sort of stuff.
So what are you fishing for? Muskie, pike? What are you fishing for?
Well, typically pike, trout, some lake trout, and we have fish called walleye. I don't know if you have them.
No, not really. I've never caught one. I've read about them. I understand they're the best eating fish or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They are. Yeah. So we always try to go for walleye, but it's a little more rare. Pike are easier to catch. We call them jackfish around here. So I don't know why they got 10 different names, right? But
walleye, you fish on the bottom. They're bottom feeders, right?
Yeah, they are. And I don't know if you have you ever heard of burbot fish. They're kind of like, they're ugly fish. They look like a catfish kind of, and they're bottom feeders. They literally kind of crawl across the bottom of the lake. But if you catch one, we call it poor man's lobster. Like you bring one up, and they are just delicious, just delicious.
What's it called?
A burbot.
Burbot. How do you spell
it? Oh, geez, I don't even know. Not bourbon, but burbot.
Burbot. I'll have to check it out.
It's B-U-R-B-O-T.
Burbot, yeah.
Yeah, and they
Son's
can
a
get.
chef. He's always looking for a different fish to try.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, I would recommend. Yeah, if he's having a walleye, if you can get your hands on a walleye, delicious. Lake trout, delicious. So we travel about 12 hours north of where I live. Me and my father-in-law, a couple of his friends, and my wife. We go fishing at this lake. It's the 24th biggest lake in the world.
Dang.
But it's about a 12-hour drive from here. It's still in Saskatchewan, but it's up there. It's called Reindeer Lake, okay? There's 5,000 islands in this lake. So it gives you an idea of how big it is.
Yeah.
And we catch lake trout out there. And it is just a ball. So we'll catch lake trout all morning. We'll get up early, catch lake trout all morning. We'll stop on an island somewhere. And we got this whole island to ourselves. We'll fry up this fresh lake trout, with some onions and some bell peppers or whatever. Eat that down. Get back out of the water. Go fishing some more. Catch a few more of them. And we go back to camp. And my father-in-law and his buddies, they rig up this plywood smoker. And we'll smoke the fish, season them up, and we have a little portable vacuum sealer. So we'll vacuum seal them, store them, and then we bring them back, and then you can freeze them or eat them at a later point. So that's kind of it's wonderful. I just love doing that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's your son's name?
His name's Hank.
Hank. He doesn't get a Rocco? He doesn't get like a Rocco name?
No. We had some on the list. It was funny, My wife went for an ultrasound. We got told we were having a daughter. Okay, so we're all ready for a daughter, and it's funny. Do you know the singer Rufus Wainwright?
No.
No. Okay, he's like a country singer-songwriter, and he's pretty popular, I think, in some of the states in Canada. But anyway, he's got this song. It's called "Daughter," and I remember. So I'm in the room we're prepping for the baby, the nursery, and I'm painting the walls, and I got this playlist on Spotify, and this song comes on, "Daughter," and he's talking about raising a daughter and all these. I'm getting emotional while I'm listening to the song because I'm thinking about, oh my God, this could be my daughter's room one day, and a couple months go by, my wife goes into labor, and we're in the hospital, and it's a boy.
Surprise.
Yeah, so I look back, I'm like, man, was I ever a pathetic idiot, Here I am, I'm in the nursery painting, basically shedding tears, thinking I'm going to have a daughter, and now I got a boy. But that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I was happy. Either way.
What's his middle name?
His name's Roman. His middle name's Roman.
Hank Roman Lorenzo?
Yes, yeah.
All right, very cool.
Yeah. We had the name Giovanni, which is an Italian name. We had that picked out as his first name. And I said to my wife, I said, you know what? I don't want this poor kid to get teased in school with a name like Giovanni. Teachers are going to be butchering that. And so we settled on Hank. And I said, you know what? You did all the work. You carried the baby. You're the mom. Whatever you think's best. Let's go with that. So that's how we settled on Hank.
Very cool. Hank Williams Jr.?
Yeah, well, that crossed our minds a little bit. Yeah. I don't know, did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
Yeah, I watched all of it.
So there was the father-in-law, Hank. He was the police officer there, the DEA agent, right? Yeah. And we always thought, like, that guy, he was such a hard ass in the show. He was a real badass. And when I think back on the series now, like, he was a hero a little bit, right? So that was kind of inspiration a bit for the name, too. That character, Hank.
That's cool. Man, Breaking Bad was an awesome show.
Oh, it was great.
I
Great
got
show.
into it. Yeah. I never could get into Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
I never, I'd watch it. I think I watched a season or so, but I never really. I love that the investigator. The one.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Well, no. The investigator that worked for Better Call Saul. He was in
Oh.
Breaking Bad. The old dude. And he was
Mike. Yeah.
Mike, the
Yeah.
old bald-headed dude. I loved him, but he couldn't. He still couldn't keep my interest in Better Call Saul.
Better Call
I
Saul.
loved him. Yeah.
If you ever go back and try to watch again, if you make it through season 1, it starts to get good. It starts to really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a hard time with the first 2 seasons, but I still haven't finished it. I don't know what happens, but I'm very sporadic with TV watching. I'm bad at making time to finish shows, but
I think I seen up through they burned down his brother's house or
yes,
or something. I've seen up through that. I think.
yeah. That Mike was a great character too.
I
think that actor passed away recently.
He did.
Yeah, I think so.
He had a
I was
great
watching.
character.
I was watching. Oh, it was one of those old movies from the 80s or 90s. But anyways, that Mike was in there, and he had hair, and I didn't recognize him. No goatee or anything. And my wife says, "Hey, that's Mike from Breaking Bad." And, oh shit, it is too. Look at him, man.
Well, is your boy getting any sleep?
He is, yeah. He's starting to sleep good now, and he's growing like a weed now. He's
How old is he?
He's coming up to 6 months.
Oh hell! Are you
So
feeding him
he's just-
cereal yet? Sticking cereal
Not-
in there?
Not yet, but my wife, she's big on nutrition too, and I try to be. And so she's been thinking about, what's our first foods we're going to introduce them to, and we've heard avocado's a good one, or pureed chicken and stuff. So all these experiences I've had in my life, and through the DDPY and all that, it's like maybe I can try and set my kid up on the right path from an early age, right? Give them the tools right from the get-go. And I know, of course, kids, they'll make up their mind, they'll do what they want. But we got to at least try, right?
Yeah.
Put an effort in.
The example, I think, is more than anything, just the example. They're always watching you, even though they're rebelling, they're always watching.
Yeah, I think they're absorbing it in subconsciously, right? Because I look at them.
Years later they'll say something, and you don't even have a memory of it, or you remember it differently, say something different now, and he said, "Well, that ain't what you said before."
Yeah, it's like, I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't say that shit. Whoever told you that's full of shit.
Exactly. Exactly. That guy was a liar. Yeah, whoever said that. It's like, but nowadays the kids got the cameras all the time.
Yeah.
My kid will be able to play it back and be like, "Oh no, you're full of shit." Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, man. Let's see. So what's the future hold? I know that one time you said you didn't think you had a future. You thought that at any time you could fall. You still have those thoughts?
I do, but I'm working on it. I'm really working on it. And that's a thing that going to counseling has helped with. Because once you start to say it out loud all the time, you start to realize it kind of sounds silly, and you got to start thinking differently. So I'm trying to slow down. I'm trying to slow down. I'm trying to stop burning that candle at both ends. And I'm trying to live in the moment. I'm trying to realize that And Dallas and Steve have been a good inspiration too. Like Dallas always says, he's an 8-year overnight success, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of the challenge with all of this getting healthy and accomplishing things in your life and pursuing new activities or learning, whatever, education, whatever it is. I've always been in a rush. So I think I need to realize things take time, and, it's like the tortoise and the hare, right? It's slow and steady wins the race. Mm-hmm. So if you stay focused, you stay consistent, you'll get there. So with a lot of the things in my future, like I would love to eventually put out my own little video game. And I kind of want to make it so my son can enjoy it one day. Kind of like a testament. The thing I love about the video game idea is I can compose music for it. And I can draw the characters, right? I love art too. I love drawing, painting, all those sorts of things. So I can create characters for it and monsters and things like that. And then write the story. And so it's like I can take everything that I love from the creative world and combine it into one product or one project, I guess.
Well, how do you get to? I mean, what steps you got? What steps does your future look like to get you there? I mean, you sound pretty motivated to do it.
I am motivated. I'm lucky. I have a friend that I grew up with that I did art together when I was a kid, and he's been quite successful. He's a full-time video game programmer. He works independently for himself, and he still lives out on a farm around here. And so I've been lucky to be able to bounce questions off him. And he believes in me, right? He says, you can do it. So that's been a good resource. And then, of course, I signed up for some courses online, and I've been taking them over the past few months here. And just in my spare time, I just really try to stay disciplined. I've kind of fallen off the rails again here for the past two-ish months. But I think that's my body's way of telling me I need a rest. I need to take some time to focus on my health, and then I can get back to the grind a bit. So, yeah, I think just through education, the online resources, reaching out to people who are familiar with it, and staying disciplined. And a part of that is staying on top of my health, right? Because you can't perform if you're not healthy. So.
Well, DDP talks about a goal without a plan is just a wish.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's easy to dream. Yeah. It's easy to dream, but it's harder to put one foot in front of the other and kick your butt and start doing it. It's like, because goals are just a bunch of micro goals, right? It's step one. I mean, when I first started looking into app development and video game development, programming, I was just blown away about the scope of it, right? And I was lost, and I thought, I'll never be able to do this because I'm not capable. It's too difficult. But then, you start bringing it down, and I've made a couple little games like Pong, I've recreated that.
Really? Really? So you programmed your own Pong game?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so
that was a big deal back in my day when Pong came out, man. That was huge, man.
Heck yeah. I played it on a kid. I played it as a kid when I had an Atari.
Yeah.
Played on there, and so yeah, it gives you confidence, and it's the building blocks. It's the stepping stones to the next thing. So,
I look at my life. I've come through personal computing. You know, when I was I graduated high school in '83, and they were teaching computer science, and personal computing was just starting, and then I lived through iPhones and iPhone apps, and I've lived through all these big steps in technology and opportunities, and I'm still broke as shit. You know, I just I feel like I missed all these opportunities. You know, why didn't I think? You know, surely I could have come up with something.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, you feel that way, but yeah, I mean, just keep doing what you love, you know?
Yeah.
Keep taking care of your health and keep, I mean, you're a lawyer, man. That's a huge accomplishment. Like
but I hate being a lawyer, man.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, I mean, you're doing this life coaching and you're doing the podcast.
I do like that stuff. I love the podcast. I love just talking to people.
Yeah,
everybody's aggravating me about how long they are, but I just love the beauty of the medium and getting to know people. You know.
You know what? I've watched a couple of yours. At first, I was like, "Oh shit, 3 hours! Like that's a commitment," you know. But again, I can break it down, right?
Yeah,
I don't have to listen to it all at once.
No, you don't even have to listen to it. You just, it's like. That's the beauty of the medium. You do the deal, you put it out there, you move on to the next. And if somebody wants to listen to it, they can listen to it. If they want to start it, while they're working, and they can start it. And if it doesn't appeal to them, they can go on to something else. It's
exactly. Or you can skip ahead if you want. Whatever. And that's a part of like reframing my mind about. You don't have to do everything all at once. Like I get so obsessed on one thing. It's like if I pop your podcast with Candy, and it's like, okay, I'm sitting down, I'm focusing on this podcast. But no, I mean, I can go back to it. I can listen to 15 minutes and it's just like with these goals in life. Mm-hmm. You take the baby steps. You don't overwhelm yourself, right?
Well, it's like these audio books, I just let them play in the background while I'm working, or like today I went out kayaking for a while. I let it play.
Oh, nice.
While I was kayaking, and or if I'm commuting to work, I just let it play. Sometimes it's not like as near as active as reading. You just let it. We're used to having the background TV or music or talk or something, and you just zone in and out if something catches your attention, and it's just
that's right.
The beauty. I know nobody wants to listen to me for 3 hours, but, at least if they want to, if something catches their, they learn something, or if I can help someone in some other way, it's worth me putting in the time.
No, I mean, people do want to listen to you for 3 hours, and it's about finding. You've got a beautiful community here, and people are interested in these stories, and you're doing a great service to the DDPY community by doing this, because so many times, you see one of the videos that they put up on the DDPY page, or they spotlight somebody on Fridays or whatever, Motivational Monday or whatever, and it's just, a 3 or 5 minute story, and I love history, right? So I'm like, I want to know more about that person. I want to know, how was it like when they were a kid? Where did they grow up? Did they like sports? Did they have friends? Did their parents get married? Were they divorced? I just love all those granular details, and
you never know what's going to relate to anybody. You never know.
Exactly.
Like, shit, that's that hits me. That sounds just like me.
Yeah. Or what you can learn, right? Yeah. If it's like I was saying before, if you don't think of things, don't put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
You're gonna live a not great life, I don't think.
I agree, man. Well, what's the but see, you got the what about your electrician job? Are you in Canada? Do they have the equivalent of a journeyman and a master electricians?
They do. The job I do, I don't have to be certified for it because I do a lot of low voltage work. So I'm running like Ethernet cable, fiber optic cable, things like that. So it's more of that new technology, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've even got into like AV things. I love, which is great because I love audio, video. I love music. I love sound. I love a good sound system. I'm a bit of an audiophile, and I love a good picture too, right? You know, big projection screens or IMAX theaters, that sort of stuff.
Well, you're definitely a creative mind. You've definitely got the creative mind side.
Yeah. So it's fun that I fell into the work of doing the physical side of it. So you get to see all the components come together and see how they build a movie theater, right? How many speakers are there? And I've helped set up for music festivals, things like that. So it's kind of taken me on a different path. And I mean, again, all those things, I think they just come together and it gives you those skills, you know, photography, music, audio, video, you know, going like from working, laying the cable all the way to designing the pamphlets. It's kind of everything in between. And I mean, I would love.
You and Candy are doing the same thing, man. You guys
you know, it's funny. I thought I hit it off with her, and I didn't know why. I just something gravitated me to her. I liked who she seems to be, but I didn't know anything about her job. So that's funny, you know. Maybe we've got that similar personality. I'm going to reach out to her after this and say, Vance gave me the dirt on you. So
yeah, and listen to her podcast. She talks about it, you know. Yeah, don't mind me as when I get kind of starry eyed when she starts talking about working the fashion show and things. Beside that part, you know, she's the.
Well, hey, that's just I think that's something every man suffers from, right?
Yeah, it's, you know, I got squirreled there for a minute, you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think the future. I mean, I'm still young. I'm just starting to feel healthy for the first time in my life, really. So I think the possibilities are endless, and if I stay determined and consistent, I think I can accomplish just about anything. And just knowing that things are going to get hard, and I'm going to go through rough patches, but I can always get back on the horse, right? So, right. I mean, I'd love to do something like you're doing, or get involved in the DDPY community a little bit more. Like I've even thought, I mean, they got to be working on an app. Like they're probably doing a redesign or something like that. I'd love to get into the programming of that, or, you know, help out with that. I remember watching the Shark Tank episode, and they were trying to secure funding so they could develop the app. And I was like, shit, I wish I would have met Dallas and Steve back then. I would have been like, I'll build it for you for free. Like, man, I'm still learning programming, but you know, with a project like that, you'd get so motivated. And I would put my nose to the grind, you know, I would do it.
Hey, if you get involved, I have a request. And I've mentioned it to Steve a couple of times, but there seemed to be a financial cost that discouraged it. But, you know, they got so many exercises on the app, so many live, so many, you know, I want to deal, you're sitting there when you want to try to find something new or something different, and, you know, you're tired of doing the same thing, and you're trying to pick an app, and you can't remember what this one was or what that. I want to deal like a damn spinning wheel, like you put in, you know, yellow, you know, you put in a couple of parameters and hit search, and it spits you out an app to do.
That would
You
be
know,
great.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it a random pick based on your search parameters. That's
I'll
what
write it.
I want them to do it. But Steve didn't sound too interested to it when I pitched it to him.
Oh, I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
I find that kind of as a shortcoming of the app as well. It would be nice to be able to find things a little easier,
Yeah.
or just kind of organize the information that's there in a better way. There's so much information,
So much great
and
stuff.
I know with you were talking about Seth, with Seth, and him, he uses the DVDs, but he was thinking about getting into the app, and you guys were talking about how it can be kind of overwhelming when you first get into it. And let's say you're somebody who you buy the DVDs, but you get the 30-day free trial of the app, and you go in there and you're like, holy shit, where do I start? What do I
That's
do?
right.
And I know they make the custom program for you, but even it took me about a month to figure out there was a program option. so, so yeah, I'm gonna write that idea down. I'll see if I can make something.
Yeah, make it happen. Make it happen.
I don't know.
Candy told me, shit, I've been doing it now, 4 and almost, I'm going on 4.5 years. Going on, I said, just a little over 4 years. I started in January of 18. And,
Okay.
And so I've been over a little over 4 years. But when mine pops up, mine pops up to this. Mary's used to picking the app, but picking which one we're going to do the workout. But it pops up to like a training screen and Candy said I have to watch all those, and they'll tell you how to use the app to get to the one you're supposed to be getting popped up.
Okay.
So for over 4 years, and I hadn't watched it yet. I'm still getting this one I should have watched 4 years ago. And I never knew it until Candy told me that.
Well, that's just it. Like, I would love to. Yeah, I've got some ideas for the app too, and I mean, I'm always a little shy to reach out to anybody that works at DDPY. I feel like I'm bothering people all the time, and or like I'm just this guy out in the community who isn't really on their level, right? But I guess what's that called?
You're on Steve's radar, man.
Yeah, maybe I should add him on Facebook and shoot him a message and do some brainstorming or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know everybody's busy, but I feel like there's a lot of refinements that could be made and make it a little more user-friendly for people. And I think that would help the app grow. I feel like make it more accessible and more people would have success, right? So, I don't know.
It's a neat app, but yeah, I mean, there's always improvements can be made, but it's just amazing how many people this whole program's helped, and what amazes me is that they can get 70,000 people, and they can keep them all positive and supportive. Those people monitoring that Facebook group is just, shit. There's not. I don't think there's anything on the internet out there that's that supportive and positive with that many people.
I don't think so either. I mean, I've spent time on websites like Reddit or Twitter or whatever, right? And there's always negativity. Yeah. Like there's always the clash because anybody can go in there. So with that DDPY community, like, man, if I'm having a rough day, I go in there and I read posts for an hour till I'm like, okay, I feel a bit better now, right? So, and I didn't even find out about that group till a couple months ago. And it's funny. Candy actually told me about it.
Candy?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to tell you about it because it's, Dallas started doing that Facebook Friday to highlight more stories, but still you have to be in the app to even and know where to get the Facebook Friday app.
Yeah.
That's part of my
Yeah.
deal because there's different videos coming up on the initial screen because I hadn't watched it yet, but I have to click through to get the the Motivational Mondays and Facebook Fridays to come up in the correct spot every time.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't working through that very well myself, and when I found out about that community, it was just I was like, shit, there's this huge group of people here that I had no idea about. And for my first year basically doing DDPY, I was in the Positively Unstoppable group, and there was only I think about 1,000 people in there. Still a great number, but not as much activity and not as many stories. It was more about people documenting their journey step by step. But I love hearing the big story, like like your story. It was all put together so nicely, and it's easy to digest when you watch it, right? So
That's Steve and Dylan's beauty there. That's their storytelling,
Well, that's great.
Well, all right, man. I think I've kept you over 3 hours. After I cut the restroom break out, I think we'd be a little less. But can you believe I still kept you on here for 3 hours?
I can't believe it. It feels like we've been talking for an hour, maybe.
Yeah.
It's been so good talking with you, Vance. Like I love what you're doing, and your story's been so motivational for me too, and inspiring. So
Thank you.
anytime you want to talk, you let me know. I'll make time.
Well, hey, let me know what you think about that Hemingway story.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to dive into some of those things you told me about today. This is my first time ever doing a podcast or an interview or anything like that, so it's been a lot of fun.
All right, well, share it on your social media, and I finally got my website up and running, Transform with Vance, and I'm starting to add stuff to it, and instead of just using the Podbean website, so I finally got my custom domain pointed toward it, and it's got it working this week. So it'll be on the podcast, but it should be basically any streaming. I think the only one that hadn't responded yet was like TuneIn or one of those, but I think it's on.
Okay.
Maybe I think I'm on iHeart, but I don't know. One of the big ones that hadn't responded yet, but it's on Apple and it's on Spotify and it's on, I think 75-80% of the platforms out there.
Oh, that's cool. I'll be able to listen back and be like, oh man, I sound like an idiot.
Yeah, no, man, you did good.
Oh, thank you.
You're gonna have to start singing some Janis Joplin or some Lightning Hopkins or
Yeah. Well, that kind of
Muddy Waters.
Yeah, absolutely. That kind of takes me back to where we first started off, and I was talking about accepting my voice, and I think I'm starting to, my old voice I was just starting to accept, and now I'm starting to accept the new one. So it's time to get back to making some music and getting comfortable with myself again. And if you need any help with any of your web stuff or whatever through this program, and I've learned so much now, I'd be happy to help out if you ever are stumped or something like that.
Well, thank you, man. I may holler at you because I'm
absolutely
ignorant to all this stuff. But see, like, you got screaming internet because you see on the right over here, you're already 99% uploaded. You see on the screen.
Oh shit! Is that what that means?
Mine, yeah, mine's 29. I'm on AT&T Uverse, and so I got to leave my computer up and running this page forever to get this my part of the damn interview up. But
jeez.
Yeah, you won't have to leave it up long. You got good internet service, whatever you did.
Oh, that's good.
You got. In the middle of Saskatchewan, you beat the hell out of me.
It's expensive, and I always gripe and complain about it, but I mean, it's almost like an essential utility now these days.
It is.
So whatever, 150 bucks a month we got to pay for this, and it is what it is, right?
It's awesome, man. All right, Rocco. Well, I'm glad Steve turned us on. I've really enjoyed meeting you and hearing your story. You're definitely a DDPY success story, and you're just getting started too, man. You got a long way to go, and I hope your mother enjoys the program, and I hope your wife figures out who DDP is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much, Vance. I wish you the best on your journey and with your your potential new career here. I think you got a knack for this, and you do a good job. So, keep going at it. And take care of yourself, and shed those pounds and give them to me, so I can bulk up a bit and get stronger and get healthier. So.
Yeah, I need to get them back off. I've put 90 plus back on. I got to get it off, man.
You'll do it.
Dude.
You'll do it.
We'll get on that ice and catch some fish.
I will. Tell your son about the bourbon.
All right, I will. Hey, now don't hang up till it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, don't close the window in Chrome until that damn deal says you're 100% uploaded. Then you can just close. You can hang up the phone, but don't close the Chrome window.
So do I hit?
Yeah, we can hit. You hit leave when we're done.
Leave studio. Okay.
Yeah, leave studio, and then it'll say. I mean, yours will be uploaded in a minute, but there'll be a message that says don't close the window, and then yours will be uploaded quickly, and then once it says 100% uploaded, then you're good.
Okay.
All right,
perfect. Man. Okay, thank you, my friend, and I hope to talk again someday. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, all right, we'll have to do it again. Have a follow-up.
Absolutely. Take care and say hi to Mary for me.
I will. Thank you, Rocco. Okay. We'll see you, man.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the podcast today. I'm your host, Vance Hines of Transform with Vance, where transformations begin every day. Please take a moment, if you will, if you like the podcast, to subscribe and follow, and you can find us on social media as well, either under Vance Hines or Transform with Vance. Please tune in and subscribe to our feed. You'll be able to hear lots of transformation stories. I'm in search of interviewing as many transformations as I can find. So if you have a transformation that you would like to have someone interview and have and appear on the podcast, just send me the name and number, message me, and I'll reach out to them and try to get them here. But no matter what, a better life begins on the mat. Get on the mat and start your transformation today. Thank you.